never guess the places that I've been. You never guess the places that I've been. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. I'm never gonna let the day begin. Never gonna let the day begin. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. Oh, don't wake me up before you go, and I'll just make this bed my home. Oh, darling, please just let me sleep. Give me my dreams. Better from above. Nothing's ever as it seems, yeah, except in that world that I dream of. Never gonna lose the ones I love. Never gonna lose the ones I love. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that world that I dream of. Oh, don't wake me up before you go, 'cause I can't face this day alone. Oh, darling, please just let me sleep. Give me my dreams. Give me my dreams. Give me my dreams.
Like that, away we go. Welcome, welcome. All aboard. As we roll into Hump Day, well, for those who have a full work week, which as it turns out, that's going to be the case for me. Yeah, pushing things back. What was going to be the heading south for the weekend, thanks to good old COVID, postponing things for a week. So I'll be here right through Friday morning and back early next week to get the week started. Glad to have you along for the ride. Hey there, look at that. Snow lovers in Chicago, you've been waiting for your first measurable snowfall. You finally got it early Tuesday. Yeah, here several days ago, earlier this month, Chicago broke the record for the latest first snowfall of the season. Yeah, the old record was December the 20th. Now, we finally saw a winter storm tracking through the north-central U.S. That brought that first measurable snow to O'Hare International Airport. Actually, first snow since back in March of this year. Yeah, late this past winter. So December the 28th now stands as the latest date for the first measurable snow in Chicago on record. All right, National Weather Service said there was a tenth of an inch measured 12:10 this past afternoon, just after the noon hour local time. By Tuesday evening, you had 1.5 inches in the city of Chicago. And we saw some moderate to heavy snow at times around Chicago throughout Tuesday afternoon. So you had your poor visibility at times. With sufficiently cold air in place ahead of these storms, about 1 to 3 inches of slushy snow is what they were anticipating. Roads less icy as the sun was rising in the sky, but further to the north of the city, some heavier accumulations. It's all wrapped up this evening. Skies have pretty much cleared in Chicago tonight. Still some snow. You've got to get into northern portions of lower Michigan and on up into the UP of Michigan. Still a little bit of snow falling between International Falls and Duluth, Minnesota. Maybe a few more snow showers in and around the Green Bay area. From there, you got to get on over into parts of New York where we're seeing some snow showers, some snow bands, actually stretching nearly from west side of Boston there in Massachusetts, back into Albany, New York, and right on over into southwestern portions of the state. Now you get down into Pennsylvania, and it's rain for the most part at this hour. A lot of rain, as a matter of fact. Some fairly heavy rain from New York City all the way back into about the Pittsburgh area. From there, you can head south into West Virginia, Parkersburg to Charleston. You're in the rain. Some rain stretching from Columbus, east side of Columbus, down into the Cincinnati metro area. Rains here have begun to taper off. Still kind of a drizzly night, but you get just to the south, between Cincinnati to Louisville, down at the Bowling Green, more shower activity. Separate line of showers. We're not seeing any severe weather as of yet, but rains from, say, Jefferson City in Tennessee, down south and west into Huntsville, Alabama, and on back into the east central and central portions of Mississippi. That's a relatively thin line pushing from southwest to northeast, but as the snow wrapped up in Chicago, you actually transitioned over to a little bit of rain. But you need to brace for more rounds of snow and a wintry mix as we head into the New Year's weekend. A much larger storm may threaten the Chicago area and a vast stretch from the Central Plains to the Great Lakes region as 2021 draws to a close and 2022 begins. Rain or snow could move into Chicago Friday night and may last into New Year's Day. The track of the next storm at the start of the new year, still a bit uncertain. But the track of the storm, that would determine whether a snowstorm across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and Great Lakes comes together. Snow and windy conditions are possible around Chicago. Forecasters right now are predicting temperatures should probably be a little above freezing for Friday night there in the city of Chicago. Meanwhile, out west, we've been talking about these blockbuster snowstorms shutting down interstates. Donner, for instance, has been shut down for days. And I don't know, they don't have a predicted time for reopening. We are now down to 3 days left to go in the month of December here. And Tahoe has broke the record for the December snowfall that was set 50 years ago. We actually can go to Monday. Monday, December snow totals at the UC Berkeley Central Sierra Snow Lab reached 193.7 inches, blowing away a 1970 record of 179 inches, blowing that out of the water. Now, the lab is located at Donner Pass. Undoubtedly, no wonder Donner shut down. They've received roughly 39 inches of snow in the past 24 hours. That was as of earlier Tuesday. They may break the 200-inch mark. They may have broke that by now. The lab was built in 1946 by the U.S. Weather Bureau and the Army Corps of Engineers and maintains one of the longest-running manual snow depth records in the world, dating back to 1879. The regional climatologist for the Western Regional Climate Center says this is a very beneficial storm for the Sierra region. Yeah, the Lake Tahoe Basin is setting about 200% of average for snow water equivalent. The amount of water that will be released from the snowpack when it melts for this time of the year. And the basin is at 60% of its peak average snow water equivalent, which occurs typically around late March or early April. All right, the median peak average is 27 inches. As of this past day, 16.1 inches of snow water equivalent was measured there. So December storms coming in, forming a right-side-up snowpack, as they explain. The earlier storms were wetter, with higher elevation snow. Then the temperatures and the snow levels began to drop. That's good for both water content as well as avalanche concerns. It'll also help keep the snowpack for the area ski resorts in good shape, even if the region runs into a dry spell. It's been a pretty impressive December. But he cautioned it's possible for drought conditions to resume. He said, if I had to emphasize one point, it is the drought is not over. Yeah, we need these storms to continue pushing through the winter. All right, speaking of storms, tonight, forecasters were telling us, continuing through the overnight hours and for many areas into Wednesday night, multiple rounds of rain and thunderstorms are forecast to develop from the Gulf Coast through the Tennessee Valley and into the Ohio Valley. Some of these could be strong. The main threat would be flash flooding and potentially damaging winds, with forecasters saying storm max of 80-mile-per-hour winds would be possible. There could be a few isolated tornadoes and hail later in the day Wednesday, so later today. That line of showers and storms I was just describing through eastern Tennessee back into central Mississippi, that's kind of the leading edge where more storms are going to be developing through the day. Any thunderstorm will arrive with the potential to produce significant rain in a short time. So we could be talking flash flooding, which can turn dangerous quickly for anyone in its path. In addition to heavy rain, any stronger storm may produce some locally damaging winds on the order of 50 to 60 miles per hour. Could see some sporadic power outages. Areas from Nashville to Birmingham, eventually over toward the Atlanta metro. Need to keep an eye to the sky later today, pretty much through the overnight and through the entire day. Any thunderstorm can become locally severe as we head into midweek here, but the greatest risk for the stronger storms will probably center over portions of the Gulf Coast states. Kind of the bullseye. The main focus will be portions of Mississippi and Alabama through the upcoming day. The atmospheric conditions will be ripest in those areas. Now, all this in just several weeks after the incredible tornado outbreak that left entire towns in ruins and at least 92 confirmed dead. Mayfield, Kentucky was kind of like the bullseye. Cleanup efforts still underway there. All right, well, the strongest storms here midweek should remain south of the hardest hit areas from the previous tornado outbreak. Even after this storm pushes out of the area by Thursday, forecasters say they're going to continue to monitor an active storm track that may usher in an even more potent storm for the eastern portions of the country as we flip into the new year. That same storm could bring another round of severe thunderstorms to part of the lower Mississippi, Tennessee, and Ohio valleys, and perhaps produce a swath of snow and ice from the central and southern plains into the Great Lakes region. It's been a fairly active pattern this week, right? So we've focused on the east. Let me zoom things out and head out west. A much quieter night tonight. Not seeing much as far as rain or snow. The snow winding down there in the Sierra Nevada. They actually had the winter weather advisories were in place until, technically it's not 10 o'clock in the evening there just yet. Couple of hours left, but the bulk of the storm system, this particular storm, is now moving on. Meanwhile, as we were talking the road closures here, this massive snowstorm that shut down a number of roadways, including I-80, for an undetermined amount of time. About midday this past day, on Tuesday, the following roads remain closed with no estimated time of reopening, and that included I-80 from Colfax to the Nevada state line. Yeah, they were talking trees down, power lines down across that route, making that reopening more complicated. State Route 20 between Nevada City and the I-80 junction. State Route 89 from Harper's Grade to Emerald Bay. Yeah, State Route 89 from Sierraville to Satley. Several other state routes, 49 from Marysville Road to Setley. State Route 70 from Jarboe Gap to Greenville, Wyoming. That closure was actually due to a mudslide, they tell us. Of course, chains or snow tires required on the roads that are currently open. The Colorado DOT, or Caltrans, I apologize, says our maintenance crews are working hard to clear snow and add additional lane width on I-80 so we can reopen. But again, as of Tuesday, the road is too narrow in some areas, which means emergency personnel would not be able to get through if there were to be an accident there. So, as I mentioned, that winter weather advisory continues till 10 p.m. Wednesday. All right, 10 p.m. Wednesday. All right, so that's actually Wednesday evening. So just another nearly 24 hours. All right, there you go. We'll get to some of the industry headlines coming up here. What's going on as we make our way into midweek. Good to have you on board. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
Live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios, the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. Are you one of those truck drivers that came home after a long haul and found the only thing waiting for you was a stack of IRS letters? Your significant other was gone, but your newfound IRS problem is still there. I've heard this story many times over the years. While I can't help you with your broken heart, I can fix your tax problems. If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or haven't filed for many years, call me for a free consultation at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com. Like I always say, you keep your eyes on the road, I'll keep mine on the IRS.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest and then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Stiction.
Found throughout the oil system, stiction is the sticky friction that negatively impacts your engine's ability to function at an optimal level. The molecular structure of oil is a hydrocarbon. The engine's extreme heat, tight tolerances, and high pressure cause the oil to break down and release hydrogen, leaving behind varnish, a carbon-based deposit. The varnish clings to the engine's moving parts, creating drag on the turbocharger, oil pump, and pistons. Symptoms of stiction include a rough idle and the loss of fuel economy and performance. Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator delivers a 98% clean rating in third-party scrub tests. Its synthetic cleaner plus nano lubricant contains no harmful solvents and is formulated to be left in the engine to safely dissolve stiction for thousands of miles. It works as you drive.
Stiction Eliminator is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
Because Channel 19's a little congested. Call Steve now at 844-844-3388. The Overnight Drive.
Yes, indeed, that is our number, 844-844-3388. So they call it Restream, where I get to see the feed from YouTube and Facebook, and decided to take a crap. And so I lost all my friends checking in via Facebook and YouTube before it disappeared. I did see Colton was on board out of the box. Welcome in, Colton. Good to have you with us. He says something about he was jumping on his laptop. Hope you're enjoying your Yeah, Christmas into New Year's break there. A little time out of school. Enjoying those Christmas gifts, right? Meanwhile, so we'll jump up to there's Jolly Green Giant on board out of the box for the first time this week. Hello, Jolly Green.
Good morning, Steve, and all the cartoon characters out there, and happy Humpy Dumpy Day. Yeah, Jolly Green. This is the real Jolly Green, not some imitation that Gilligan comes up with.
Yeah.
I heard he imitated me last week. I'm sure it was a poor imitation. So what I want to talk about tonight, I think there is a series of movies that I've actually got every one of them, and he came out with one that was just in the theater, and I'd seen it on Vudu. I downloaded it, and it literally was a rude awakening, and it's called God Is Not Dead, We the People. And what really bothered me about the movie, it really hit home that our government officials totally forget of why they're up there in D.C. in the first place. They forget about the Constitution. They forget about the Bill of Rights. And that's basically what this movie is about.
Interesting.
It's about the government taking control of our home, telling us what we can and cannot do. And here's the funny part. It was about homeschooling. Now, am I correct? Before I went on vacation, you were talking about that people were some of the parents were going to the education departments or the Board of Education to some of their meetings and were being labeled terrorists.
Correct.
Okay? And to be honest with you, the parents have a right to decide what their kids should be taught and not taught, instead of being indoctrinated with what the government thinks that they should learn. And that's basically what this movie is all about. And what really troubled me is when there was a congressional investigation on education. And so those parents and that pastor went to D.C. They were called by one of the senators that was sitting on that panel to come up there to that meeting and to testify. And the thing that really, at the end of the movie,
you got you all choked up.
Yeah. At the end of the movie, what was really important, the pastor of that particular movie, actually, he's in every one of those movies, God Is Not Dead, made it clear. He told that panel, you work for us. And he's right. Also, another thing, the Board of Education. I learned this a long time ago when you're raising a handicapped child. The board, those teachers, principals, they work for us, not the other way around. Our tax money paid for them. And the thing that I think is important, I think our senators and our congressmen and our presidents, they get in office and they've got a political agenda, or they do exactly what is best for their party. They have totally forgotten about our Constitution and what is best for the people of the United States of America. They are trying to do away with freedom of religion, and I'm fully convinced that they are jamming Islam down our throat and trying to destroy Christianity. And basically, this United States of America was built on our belief in God. It was actually Christianity that actually is how this country got started. I believe it's because they left their countries because they wanted freedom of religion. I think the government is trying to do away with religion, period. And they're forcing all this junk down our throat that we don't want. And then the Bill of Rights, it says, we the people. Well, to be honest with you, Steve, the government has totally forgotten that it's about we the people and not we the government. It's definitely the Democratic Party's agenda is socialism, no doubt in my mind.
Yep.
This movie, I encourage everybody out there to get that movie, and it'll actually open your eyes up on what the government is really trying to do. And actually, I mean, I literally was totally shocked, because the fact is, you know, you've been talking about it on your show for over a year, you know, probably way before that. So another thing too is, I wouldn't mind hearing of what your year anniversary is coming up next month, and what exactly you guys are looking for next year, and where you're going to take your show. I wouldn't mind hearing more about that. Like I said, your anniversary, like I said, is coming up next month. But it's been a good year, Steve, spending time with you and all the listeners. And I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
All right. And the title of that film, again, was God Is Not Dead. What was the rest of it?
We the People. God Is Not Dead. We the People. And it's actually the third movie in that series. It's called God Is Not Dead. We the People. And I encourage everybody out there to watch it.
All right. I'll
get it on.
See if I can dig that up. Yep, on some of the streaming services and whatnot. Thank you much, Jolly Green. All right. Hello to Chevy Guy copying the mail. Alan's on board, listening on the Alexa in Cleveland tonight, where it's 36 degrees. Hello to Philly Dan on board, 44 degrees in Philly. God bless the Rambler, and just said Jolly Green is 100% right. There you go. Hello to Dale, morning from Daytona Beach, Florida. We've got 67 degrees, clear, going for a high of 85 today here in Daytona. Maybe we ought to get them race cars out, do a couple laps, right? Everybody truck safe. It's end this year on a positive note. All right, morning to Mr. Q on board, listening in. Now, speaking of, we the people, I shared a little link this past day on my Facebook page, and I wonder if others are actually able to see it, because it's very unusual for something I shared to have 0 likes and 0 shares, and maybe it's the artificial intelligence at Facebook, just wondering if they don't want people to see it. The story that was out of China, which they're doing it right now, using artificial intelligence, computers, to actually make decisions and act as judges in sentencing people for crimes. I mean, this is literally right out of the movie The Terminator, and that's what I posted. The comment I made was, FYI, AI as an artificial intelligence is a computer. It's a program. There is no mind. There's no soul. And we're actually trying to let computers determine and make life and death conclusions. It's all predicted by Hollywood, a.k.a. the movie The Terminator. To which I said, be careful, my friends. Pay attention to this new artificial intelligence world, as somewhere out there, someone's trying to make us believe that artificial intelligence knows best. Then I shared a link to the story from Wired.com. Yeah, the computer geek website, kind of, Wired. Yeah, well-known website. And the headline of the story was, if artificial intelligence is predicting your future, are you still free? Part of being human is being able to defy the odds. These they call them algorithmic prophecies. You undermine all of that. A little more from the story here. As you read these words, there are likely dozens of algorithms making predictions about you. As you read these words, It was probably an algorithm that determined that you would be exposed to this article because it predicted you would read it. Algorithmic predictions can determine whether you get a loan or a job, an apartment or insurance, and so much more. These predictive analytics are conquering more and more spheres of our life, but no one's asked your permission or my permission to make these forecasts. No governmental agency is supervising them. No one is informing them or you about the prophecies that determine your fate. Even worse, a search through academic literature for the ethics of prediction shows it's an unexplored field of knowledge. As a society, we haven't thought through the ethical implications of making predictions about people. Beings who are supposed to be infused with agency and free will. As the headline stated, defying the odds is the heart of what it means to be human. Our greatest heroes are those who defied the odds. Abraham Lincoln, Marie Curie, Helen Keller, Rosa Parks, Nelson Mandela, and on and on. They all succeeded wildly beyond expectations. Every school teacher knows kids who have achieved more than was dealt in their cards. Yeah, we want a society that allows and stimulates actions that will defy the odds. But the more we use artificial intelligence to categorize people, predict their future, and treat them accordingly, the more we narrow human agency, which is in turn will expose us to uncharted risk. I mean, go on if you can see the story there. I advise, as Jolly Green was saying, to check out that movie. This is a very, very long, lengthy article about artificial intelligence. But the other story, what I was talking about, in China, is this the direction we are heading? After creating the world's largest surveillance network, China has deployed an artificial intelligence AI machine to run their judicial system. The state-run judiciary developed the artificial intelligence machine. It has been tested in the eastern Chinese city of Shanghai. The Hong Kong-based newspaper South China Morning Post reporting this is not the first artificial intelligence tool used in Chinese courts. Prosecutors in China already use an artificial intelligence tool to evaluate evidence and assess how dangerous a suspect is to the public. This newly developed artificial intelligence prosecutor, as they're calling it, can recognize anti-regime dissent and suggest punishment based on the Chinese criminal law. This dystopian machine can identify dissent against the state and literally suggest sentences for supposed criminals, removing people from the prosecution process. It's the machines. This is science fiction come to life. Give you more on that coming up, but that's scary time, scary stuff. Who was the great mind, the genius that passed away, the guy that was confined to the wheelchair? His name skips my mind, but yeah, before his passing, he cautioned, he warned the world, beware of artificial intelligence. I mean, it could literally, we could end up in something like right out of a Hollywood film, a science fiction movie. And it almost seems like we're headed that way. Hawkins, that was it, right? Stephen Hawkins. And all right, we got to get a news break here. Yeah, back to the calls just ahead. It's 844-844-3388. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg. Airports are blaming staffing shortages for thousands of flight cancellations. Another 2,200 flights were canceled due to surging cases of the Omicron variant. More than 2,000 have been delayed. This traveler telling Fox News he's planning ahead.
We got to the airport early for that reason. In case it does get canceled, hopefully we can catch another flight out from a different airline or whatever.
Tragedy strikes in Denver, Colorado.
4 shooting locations across the Denver, Colorado metro area last night left 5 souls dead, including the shooter and a police officer injured, according to Denver Police Chief Paul Pazin. The investigation is ongoing and a motive is not known at this time. From the West Coast USA Radio News Bureau, I'm Lance Pry.
Jury deliberations resuming on Tuesday in the sex trafficking trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, and I want to tell you that arthritis is not a genetic thing. It's not a disease of aging. Neither is osteoporosis. Get a hold of my book. It's all in your head. It goes into the 25 different diseases you get when you have osteoporosis of the skull. These are all reversible. You take the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, the MSM, vitamin D3, stay away from all the bad foods, including gluten, and guess what? You'll regrow all your bones, including your skull and your legs and your hips and everything else. Contact us at usaradiohealth.com. That's usaradiohealth.com.
Did you know Mike Lindell has over 150 different items on the MyPillow website, and any of them would be great for Christmas gifts for your friends and family? Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square, use my promo code USA, or call 1-800-951-8175 after you've explored the MyPillow website. Use that promo code USA and save big on anything in the MyPillow website just for Christmas.
You're listening to The Overnight Drive with Steve Summers.
The Hotshot Secret Facebook page gets a lot of robust Q&A about diesel problems and their solutions. We listen to our customers. Here are their words straight from their mouths about Hotshot Secret Everyday Diesel Treatment. Our fans call it EDT.
I'm John Sharp, a.k.a. Jay Sharp from Newburgh, Pennsylvania. Using EDT, my local fuel mileage went to average of 22 to 23, and my highway MPG went to 26 to 28.
Hi, I'm Danny. I'm from Arizona. I drive a 02 Ford Excursion. I use EDT at every fill-up, and my mileage went from 12.5 miles to gallon to 14 miles per gallon. I highly recommend it.
Everyday Diesel Treatment delivers a 6-in-1 premium fuel treatment for every fill-up, every time.
Everyday Diesel Treatment is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
How do you sleep on the road? After downtime, do you wake up well-rested and invigorated, or tired, achy, and sore? Well, if it's the latter, you're not sleeping on the Big Rig Mattress. The Big Rig Mattress is a hybrid with an individually pocketed spring core that's engineered to deliver the best restorative sleep for your time on the road. Learn more about the Big Rig Mattress at thebigrigmattress.com or call 877-736-4233. The Big Rig Mattress, 100% made in the USA since 2009.
You work hard. You deserve a seat that works just as hard as you do. The Bostrom T-Series seat has provided drivers with comfort for millions of miles over the past 3 decades. Each seat is built right here in the USA and has 4-position front cushion tilt and higher low-profile air suspension with Isolate. It's also equipped with many standard and optional comfort features, such as high and mid backrests, 9.4-inch 4-aft slide adjustment, adjustable armrests, and manual or dual air lumbar support systems to keep you comfortable throughout your ride. Build your T-Series seat today at BostromSeating.com and ensure your ultimate comfort for wherever the road takes you. Bostrom Seating, the ultimate comfort for the open road.
At Turbo 3000, our founder Andy Matouche firmly believed you should challenge yourself.
Put the most money back in your pocket, where it belongs. Four Wheeler magazine took our challenge, and they wrote it did exactly what we said it would do.
As fuel prices keep going up, get your Turbo 3000 from manufacturer direct. Call us at 888-311-9993. Always free shipping in the USA, and for a limited time, save $45 off total purchase using coupon code STEVESAVES at turbo3000.com.
To some people,
The sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Steve Summers Overnight Drive, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
Okay, so I see several of our listening friends jumped over to, hey, can I find that story? Eskimo Mom, Scott, Zorro said, I can see it. I just shared it. All right. So maybe it just didn't pique anyone's interest throughout the day yesterday. But let me take you back to China quickly, because it's, like I said, it's very scary to me. All right. A world first, a machine that can charge people with crimes using artificial intelligence. The AI prosecutor can file a charge with more than 97% accuracy based on a verbal description of the case, according to the researchers. The technology could reduce real prosecutors' daily workload, allowing them to focus on more difficult tasks. According to the Chinese Academy of Sciences Big Data and Knowledge Management Laboratory, the project's lead scientist, the system can replace prosecutors in the decision-making process to a certain extent, they say. As China has established the world's largest spying network to monitor and regulate the behavior of the people. This Chinese communist Orwellian project uses more than half the world's surveillance cameras to spy on 1.4 billion Chinese people. Besides cameras, Beijing is using facial recognition, smartphones, and your online shopping data to keep track of the everyday activities of the ordinary people. Besides targeting dissidents, the artificial intelligence-aided surveillance is used for behavioral engineering of the country's population. Xi Jinping's regime is resorting to what can only be described as mass surveillance, not just brute force, to ensure absolute loyalty to not only him, but the Communist Party. Anything you do via your smartphone, your computer, the artificial intelligence is scouring through all this information. You may have somebody busting down your door and dragging you off into a prison for offering any sort of sentiment against the communist regime there. All right, back to the calls here. Scary stuff, right? Morning, Horse Feathers.
Hey, morning, Your Honor. Yeah, you knew it was going to come to the time that the machines are going to take over and control the people, didn't you?
Well, I mean, science fiction-wise, yeah, movies have been made about this for years, but I guess it really is becoming an actual reality.
I guess the question I asked the other day might come answered. How many years is a life worth? If you take a life, maybe this algorithm will be able to come up with the exact science of knowing for every crime, how much time is actually antiquated to what you've done. So anyways, there. I guess we're supposed to start out today with, hey, Mike. What day is it? What day is it?
Yeah, sadly enough, it is. It's actually hump day. So, yep, midweek for me, 29th of December.
So you said your whole trip's kind of screwed up here because of COVID, and you're pushing it back a week. Is that going to interfere with the 11th of January, 2022?
I don't know. I hadn't even thought about that. I hadn't looked at the calendar.
Yeah, because you know what the 11th of January 2022 is, right?
Well, that's, 1 year. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. So, yeah, I was just wondering if you were going to have a repeat show on for that day, and you're going to be down there with the Flintstones and all that, and Bedrock, and I don't know. So, as I say, I didn't look at the calendar myself, so I was just asking. Anyways, there to answer Jolly Green's question about you always have to be your own advocate, no matter what you're doing, whether it's your kids in school or whether you're at the doctors seeking treatment for cancer or a heart attack or stroke. You and your family have to be your own advocates, or even with the legal system. Nobody's going to watch out for you. Everybody has their own interest in mind, and of course, their own interest, even if they don't admit it, is money and power. I mean, doctors look for a way to make more money so they can buy their expensive cars and houses and play more golf, and the power part is if they're involved with any research or any way to put their name on something, that's power to them. So they're going to do what's in their best interest to advance themselves before they worry about an individual. So if it looks like, like with cancer treatment, I mean, if there's something, off the scale, breaking, news, trial of this, they're going to try to have their name attached to something like that, or if there's a way to, and especially if it comes out on the good side, that they'll be able to come up with something. But always be your own advocate. But if you remember back in the days, I don't know, what was it, 92? I think it was 92 to 2000. Wasn't that when the Clintons were in their squatting in the White House, or living in the White House? I mean,
right.
You remember this lady named Hillary? Do you remember her and what her big slogan was at one time? You remember, it takes a village. You remember her saying that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
The people aren't supposed to raise the children. The village is, which is the government, and that's their whole mission. So just remember, it takes a village, Jolly Green. You can't do it yourself. You have to let the village do it for you. Oh, wait a minute. No, we don't think that way. Anyways, I saw on the news that there's already teams pulling out of bowl games due to COVID. Speaking of the COVID earlier here, did you happen to catch any of the? I heard there was a team that pulled out of a bowl game already.
I had not seen that. Not yet. I had not caught that. I'll have to check.
All right. I can't remember. I thought they said Miami, but I can't guarantee 100% for sure. So I don't want to say exactly what teams it was, but I did hear about somebody pulling out of a bowl game. And the only other thing I saw there, you're into this dirt track sprint car racing and all that stuff, and maybe Sylvester can call in and touch up on it if he saw it down there. But I guess they had a sprint car race, and they had multiple cars go end over end, which is, the big wing, the little wing cars. And that.
Right.
It's pretty common for them to get caught up and tangled up and roll over and tumble. And a lot of times they're like smart cars. They're like people run out there and just put them back on their wheels. They just keep going, no problem. Well, one ended up on top of the catch fence, almost to the secondary fence into the stands. And there's one of the fake news programs there last night. They made a big deal out of it and were saying how people were almost, catastrophically killed by this. And, there was some parts that flew and stuff, but really nothing got into the grandstands. And the car never made it through the primary catch fence. but it did end up on top of it. It was a pretty impressive crash. So if you can find any video of sprint car racing out of Australia, or maybe, as I say, maybe Sylvester even knows where it happened. But it was a pretty impressive wreck. So
okay.
But with all that, I guess that's about what we got going for you so far. We kind of got some misty showers on and off, but they said rain on and off through this, and it's supposed to break up a little bit through the week, a little bit, and then I guess there's pretty much rain socked in all the way for all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So Happy New Year!
Oh boy,
but
soggy New Year.
Yeah, well, maybe it'll keep some of the people down there, being out there on rookie night. Maybe some of them won't want to go out and get so wet. Some of them will stay home or something, or I don't know. Maybe everybody will end up with COVID and stay home. I don't know.
Yeah, the numbers are actually going off the charts right now. Yeah, speaking of New York, I've got the latest there. But as the Omicron sweeps the globe. Yeah, he's right. Actually, we have now 5 bowl games canceled as of this past day due to the COVID protocols, while at least 2 other games will feature different teams. The Holiday Bowl, featuring UCLA and North Carolina State, was supposed to take place this past evening. Petco Park in San Diego. UCLA announced internal COVID protocols prohibited the team from playing. Let's see. The head of the media relations for the Holiday Bowl said the game will not be played. We are extremely grateful to the Holiday Bowl students, fans, sponsors, and the people of San Diego for their support this week. Deeply disappointed for our young men in the football program that worked extremely hard for this opportunity. My heart goes out to them. All right, Holiday Bowl operations tweeted they were disappointed and heartbroken that the bowl game was canceled. All right, we have isolated COVID challenges. Let's see, that was just the other team. North Carolina State football released a statement saying they're heartbroken to not be able to compete one more time this season. We were informed a short time ago our opponent would be unable to play. So as of this past day, 7 bowl games have now been impacted in the past week by the rise in COVID around the country. Boise State Athletics announced Monday that they shut down all football team activities. As a result, the Broncos will not compete against the Central Michigan Chippewas in the Arizona Bowl scheduled for Friday. That game has since been canceled. Everybody making theirs. The Sun Bowl will be played at noon Friday in El Paso. Looks like the Central Michigan Chippewas will now play in the Sun Bowl against the Washington State Cougars. Central Michigan takes the place of the Miami Hurricanes, who withdrew from the Sun Bowl, again because of COVID. So this is just all screwed up. The 3 other bowl games were canceled. Monday's Military Bowl in Maryland between Boston College and East Carolina. Boston College didn't have enough players available because of COVID. That's just crazy. I mentioned New York. Unheard of numbers, even from the very beginning of the pandemic, of those tested, I guess, was it Monday or Tuesday, almost 1 in 5. I mean, it's 19 point some odd percent, nearly 20% of COVID tests are coming back with a positive result. The state of New York logged 40,780 new cases Tuesday, according to the governor's office. 27,774 of those were in New York City. A drop from the recent peak, as statewide daily cases almost hit 50,000 going into Christmas. But overall, testing had surged ahead of the holiday, so that kind of skewed the figures. There were tourists filling up Times Square this past day. The daily positivity rate at 19.33% yesterday. The 7-day average climbing to 13.36%. While the heavily mutated Omicron strain may cause less severe illness on average, the lightning-quick speed of the spread has indeed generated staffing shortages for many essential services, hospitals, transportation systems, and all the likes. All right. Meanwhile, the sheer scope of the surge figures they're anticipating they're going to see patients pouring into medical centers. And here comes the New Year's weekend, right? Times Square, right? All right, 7 before the hour. It is 844-844-3388. There you go. Clear lines as we roll into Hump Day, the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
You're listening to the Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers.
After a long winter road trip, there's nothing like coming home to a warm, comfortable home. Hi, I'm Steve with USA Insulation. We appreciate our truckers and the long hours you're putting in to service all. Without you, we wouldn't even get the materials to insulate. So we want you to feel like a king when you get back. We put our foam in your walls. It's like putting a coat around your entire home. Keeps the cold air out and the warm air in. And with the rising energy costs, that's going to save you a bundle. We're getting homes ready for winter right now, and we have $1,000 of savings for everyone. But because we love our truckers, we're going to give you an additional $250 discount just for mentioning this show. So give us a call, 1-800-USA-FOAM. That's 1-800-USA-FOAM or usainsulation.net. We're going to give you an additional $250 discount for mentioning the show. 1-800-USA-FOAM or usainsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
My daughter Brinley is here at St. Jude. Coming here was literally life or death, and it was so scary. But St. Jude is fighting for one goal, like this one mission, life. And that gave us hope. We haven't received a single bill from St. Jude, so I really can just focus on what's best for Brinley.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
And now, back to the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
And once again, we got clear lines at 844-844-3388. Heads up if you're rolling through the heart of Indiana tonight. We do have dense fog advisories. Indianapolis is kind of like right there in the bullseye zone, but much of central Indiana, stretching almost from Marion down to Muncie, over to Terre Haute and Crawfordsville, and again, Indianapolis, dead center there. Dense fog advisory in effect till 7 a.m. this morning. Visibility, quarter mile or less, portions of central, east central, west central Indiana. All right, hazardous driving conditions. If you're driving, slow down, use your headlights, leave plenty of distance ahead of you. That's from the National Weather Service office there in Indianapolis. Aside from that, we just have a few winter weather advisories there in portions of Michigan, northern PA, and southern portions of New York, as a little bit of snow has been pushing through that region of the country. I'm looking up here from Syracuse to Binghamton, down to Scranton, PA. That's all in the zone. Winter weather advisory in effect till 4 a.m. this morning. Just a dusting to an inch of additional accumulation, ice accumulations, maybe a light glaze maybe occurring there. So you could see some slippery road conditions. Watch those bridges and overpasses. Okay. How about prices at the pump? Oh, boy, as we head into a new year, gas prices could exceed $4 per gallon average nationally before next summer. According to GasBuddy.com, the GasBuddy forecast projects gas prices will peak nationally at an average of $3.79 in May before retreating below the current levels by late next year. Yeah, we could see a national average that flirts with, or in a worst-case scenario, maybe even exceeds $4 per gallon. Yeah, GasBuddy's forecast also predicts that the national gas price average will rise to $3.41 per gallon next year. It was like $3.02 per gallon here in 2021. The predicted rise in gas prices would magnify the inflationary pressures that are already impacting each and every one of us. Consumer prices rose 5.7% over the past year, the fastest pace in 39 years. Now, they're basing their forecast on several major factors, including demand that continues to recover from COVID faster than supply. Demand has come roaring back, but still, supply is still trying to catch up after getting really cut dramatically in 2020. Of course, OPEC and the allies implemented their unprecedented production cuts in the spring of 2020 after oil prices, remember, crashed below zero at one point for the first time ever. Obviously, U.S. oil companies have also cut production. Another factor is that some of the key refineries have been sidelined in recent years. Low prices when the pandemic started forced closures of locations that produce gasoline, jet fuel, diesel fuel. We had the refinery in Louisiana that was damaged by Hurricane Ida in August. The ExxonMobil plant in Baytown, Texas, last week that was rocked by an explosion that injured 4 workers there. That was actually as we were going into the Christmas holiday weekend. We didn't even get to touch on that. That happened shortly after we had wrapped things up in our final program there, I believe Thursday morning. Tom Clausen with the Oil Price Information Service says the Baytown accident could weigh on already constrained gas supply. He said he would not be surprised to see average prices rise to $4 per gallon in much of the country this spring and summer. And that means there's less breathing room as a result of those refinery shutdowns. With that, we'll get our news update here. $4 a gallon. Of course, those prices have to be passed on, and we'll all be paying. Our number, 844-844-3388. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
Airports are blaming staffing shortages for thousands of flight cancellations. Another 2,200 flights were canceled due to surging cases of the Omicron variant. More than 2,000 have been delayed. This traveler telling Fox News he's planning ahead.
We got to the airport early for that reason. In case it does get canceled, hopefully we can catch another flight out from a different airline or whatever.
Tragedy strikes in Denver, Colorado.
4 shooting locations across the Denver, Colorado metro area last night left 5 souls dead, including the shooter and a police officer injured, according to Denver Police Chief Paul Pazin. The investigation is ongoing and a motive is not known at this time. From the West Coast to USA Radio News Bureau, I'm Lance Pry.
Jury deliberations resuming on Tuesday in the sex trafficking trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Wayne Alaroot. It's official. Inflation is at its highest level since the 1980s, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. What most people don't know is that it's actually much worse. Inflation may be higher now than the 1980s since the new measurements exclude food and energy. Gas prices up 58%, energy up 33%. What can you do about it? Protect yourself and your family. Only gold, silver, and other hard assets give you true protection. My friends at Tangible Investments guarantee the absolute lowest prices on precious metals. Check them out at TII1.com or call 800-300-8441. Tangible Investments has 40 years of experience and billions, that's with a B, billions in transactions. Call 800-300-8441 if you want help with gold, silver, platinum. They guarantee you the best prices plus excellent service. Call Tangible Investments now, 800-300-8441 or visit TII1.com. They also provide free verbal appraisals.
A new Gallup poll out shows President Biden has a 43% approval rating among those surveyed, with 51% of Americans disapproving of his performance. Kentucky Republican Senator James Comer tells Fox and Friends First he believes the low numbers are because the president does not have a single win in office.
Canceling the construction of the southern border wall, which has led to, huge amounts of illegals, huge amounts of drugs flowing across our border, huge amounts of COVID flowing across our border. He cut off the Keystone Pipeline. Gas prices have doubled. Inflation is on the rise. There's a labor shortage.
Colorado Democratic Congressman Jason Crow is using the recent tragic murders of 4 people in his state to say this is why we need to have a serious conversation about gun violence. Crow's comments coming within 24 hours of the tragedy. USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, and I want to tell you that arthritis is not a genetic thing. It's not a disease of aging. Neither is osteoporosis. Get a hold of my book. It's all in your head. It goes into the 25 different diseases you get when you have osteoporosis of the skull. These are all reversible. You take the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, the MSM, vitamin D3, stay away from all the bad foods, including gluten, and guess what? You'll regrow all your bones, including your skull and your legs and your hips and everything else. Contact us at usaradiohealth.com. That's usaradiohealth.com.
A terrifying new viral video shows a man being hit by lightning.
Closed-circuit television footage in Jakarta, Indonesia, has captured a security guard who luckily survived a direct hit by lightning, according to local media. In the video, shared by an Indonesian media company and reported on social media, the man can be seen walking in the rain under an umbrella. Some 15 seconds after he enters the frame, a blast and sparks can be seen in the very place he walked, and the footage then shows him lying on the wet ground. He fails to get up, and people run toward him. The man survived, having suffered burns to his hands, according to Detik News. It is believed the guard's walkie-talkie, which he had in his hands, attracted the lightning. From the USA Radio News, West Texas Bureau, I'm Brad Bernards.
An Idaho sheriff accused of assaulting a group of kids at gunpoint in November heads to court on Wednesday amid calls for him to step down. Bingham County Sheriff Craig Rowland is facing charges after he allegedly stopped a vehicle with 7 girls ages 12 to 16 and their group leader, pulling her out by her hair and pointing a gun to her head. The girls had been making thank you notes to tape to doors in the neighborhood, but the sheriff claims he thought someone was trying to break into his house. Please remember to follow us on Facebook at USA Radio. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
It's coming. Crisp fall mornings turn bitter cold. As you fire up your diesel, you can see your breath on the inside of the cab. Imagine looking deep into your engine. Freezing temperatures impact your diesel's fluids, especially fuel. On a 23-degree morning, the paraffin wax in your untreated fuel starts to morph from fluid to large crystals. These crystals clump together and form a gel. At minus 10 degrees, your fuel hits the point where it no longer pours like a liquid. It's so dense that the flow through the fuel filter will slow, causing hard starts or no starts. Get prepared now for the cold that is coming. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel is a premium fuel additive that lowers your fuel's pour point to minus 65 degrees. If it's that cold out, you shouldn't be on the road. You ought to be at home in front of the fireplace. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel Premium Fuel Additive. Available now online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
Hey there, Scooter's on board this morning via the email, which, by the way, is steve@hotshotsecret.com. Very simple. Well, Scooter says, Maumee, Ohio, got a nice covering of White Death this evening. Got a little misty rain, 35 degrees right now as I roll south back to Sharonville. I hope you and the Overnight Drive Nation have a great night. Thank you much, Scooter. Then, in regards to the whole artificial intelligence post I was talking about, he said, people can see it if they go directly to your Facebook page, but it's been suppressed from appearing on anyone else's feed. That would kind of explain why. Yeah, typically, I guess, when you post something, your friends see it, right? It pops up on their particular feed. Maybe they don't want everybody seeing that, huh? You think? All right, meanwhile, travelers' weather. Old man winter continues lobbing the big snowballs at Seattle, Washington, and Portland, Oregon. A frigid blast of cold air is set to rush into the Pacific Northwest this week. You're looking for probably the coldest New Year's Eve in years, according to AccuWeather. Seattle just a couple of days removed from their lowest temperature since 2010, when you had a low of 17 degrees on the morning after Christmas. Snow falling across the city in the I-5 corridor. That cold pattern is going to continue here in the final days of 21 and well into the new year in the Northwest. Motorists and pedestrians can expect more rounds of slippery travel through this weekend. Vast stretches of Interstates 5, 84, and 90 will be in the targeted range for this wintry onslaught coming in. Meteorologists say drivers venturing out over the roads be prepared to encounter areas of snow and ice during these storms. Chains may be required when venturing over the passes in the Cascades. Even before the most recent round of storms, places like Seattle and Portland had already topped their average snowfall totals for the month of December. Aside from a few pockets of snow that will fall mainly over the mountains overnight tonight into Wednesday morning, this morning, the next significant storm to impact the Pacific Northwest is going to roll southward later Wednesday night into Thursday evening. Much of the lower elevations of the I-5 corridor from Washington to Oregon, we'll see 1 to 3 inches of snow with locally higher amounts. Snowfall will tend to be higher over the hilly areas and the intermediate elevations in the Cascades, in the Olympics, where over the passes, probably 3 to 6 inches in store, while the high country will tack on another 1 to 2 feet of snow on top of the already deep snowpack there. Now, in parts of the high country of the Cascades, there's upwards of 8 feet of snow already on the ground. Some local areas are pushing 15 feet, they tell us. Along the immediate coast of Washington and Oregon, we'll see a mixture of rain and snow. Local amounts anywhere, a coating to an inch with this storm centered on Thursday. The stormy pattern may take a breather toward the end of the week, but storms will likely make a back in time for the New Year's Eve celebrations with a mix of snow, sleet, and rain, dampening the celebrations along the coast of Washington and northern Oregon Friday night. So revelers planning on traveling need to use extra caution as we close out the year. Just enough of a wintry mix could fall to make the roads slippery. A couple of inches possible over the hills and over the Olympics and the Cascades. And you'll have to bundle up. This New Year's Eve, likely to be the coldest in years for this region of the country. Temperatures are forecast to dip into the single digits and teens over areas east of the Cascades in Washington and Oregon by the midnight hour Friday night. Brr. It'll be cold over the coastal areas of both states. Midnight temperatures ranging from the low to mid-20s in northwestern Washington, upper 20s and lower 30s in southwestern Oregon. So that's well below normal. Normal high for Seattle. December 31 would be 47 degrees. A typical low of 37. In Portland, the normal high would be 46. Normal low of 36. So much colder. Looks like some milder ocean air will move ashore late Saturday night and on New Year's Day. So most of the coastal areas will experience a change to rain or drizzle as the temperatures climb above the freezing mark. But looks like more cold air returns on Tuesday, the setup for more wintry trouble along the coast resumes once again. It's been the train of storms in the Pacific Northwest and more on the horizon. Meanwhile, it's 844-844-3388. What's on your mind this hump day? Hello, heat wave.
Good morning, senor. Well, I tell you what, some of these people out here, especially driving the commercial motor vehicles, who can go faster when I'm trying to pass them, all I can tell you is one thing. Either lead or follow, but get the hell out of my way. It's very discouraging to drive 63. And everybody wants to be in the lead. But when you got someone that's doing 59 and you're trying to pass them and all of a sudden they step on the gas and now you're the roadblock to progress for all these four-wheelers trying to get around you, it's just aggravating. I guess they don't like the idea of getting passed by a yellow truck. And all I can say is tough. Lead, follow, but get the hell out of my way. I guess that's my aggravation for right now. It's a nice, cool, let's see here. 45 degrees on I-5 south of Tracy. And looks like the clouds cover is pretty much there. It ain't partly cloudy no more. It is cloudy. So I heard my co-driver was saying earlier that he was driving in the rain. And pretty good rain because I didn't feel anything. Once I my head hit the pillow, I was out like a light. Hell, I even forgot where we were supposed to be going to. I mean, that's how much of a deep sleep I was in. And I probably could use another 10 hours of sleep. So, okay, so you're going to be at the Hacienda come the 31st into the 1st. Wonderful.
Yes, I'll be able to keep tabs on you guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they'll make an exception. And like I said, get me going back to Albuquerque, and I'll grab a nice airline flight heading that way. And yeah. I'll be sure to call in case I get lost. So. That way you'll be for sure to know. You can send me direct to the secret bunker, or you'll probably just give me roundabout directions to, I don't know, somewhere else other than where you're at, right?
You jump on I-275 and you just go round and round and round.
Okay, that sounds good. I could do that. So. Yeah, this shooting in Denver. Already the politicians are screaming, we need to talk about guns. Well, yeah, let's talk about guns. What kind of rules you got on the books that the criminal element does not listen to? Those that have guns legally have followed through the loopholes. And I shouldn't say they follow through the loopholes, but they get through hoops to acquire these weapons legally. You know, it's the criminal element is not going to listen to you. You know, I mean, you could see it up there in Chicago. They could give a rat's behind what the laws are. They're going to get the guns. And if you try to take away my guns, then I guess I become part of the criminal element because I am not giving my guns to you just so you can feel safer. Because then what do I have to protect myself against the criminal element that has the weapon? You know, it's kind of like the story about, you know, getting a loan from a bank. Well, you need credit. Well, that's what I'm here for. Well, we can't give you the loan. Well, why not? Because you don't have any credit. Well, where can I get it? Get a loan. That's what I'm here for. Well, we can't give it to you. Why not? Because you don't have any credit.
Exactly.
You know,
round and
same
round.
roundabout argument. Yeah. So, you know, if you don't want the weapons, fine, don't get it. But for us who are guaranteed our say in our weapons that get it legally, that are allowed to have weapons, leave mine alone. So, well, we got time for a Wacky Wednesday funny.
Absolutely. Wacky Wednesday.
Okay. Hopefully my signal holds out. This past Christmas, my son and his wife got me a 12-year-old Scotch. It's a blended. Man, I tell you what, alcohol there. I mean, I swallowed it, and I even had to cough a little bit because, I mean, it was just wow. And that reminded me of a joke, and I talked to Chevy Guy yesterday morning just to make sure what he thought, and he said, well, he thought it. So here we go. Gentleman walks into a bar, goes up to the bartender, says, excuse me, sir, I want a shot of 12-year-old Scotch. Bartender's like, yeah, right, whatever. He goes ahead and grabs a bottle, he pours it, puts the shot glass in front of the patron. He goes ahead and shoots it down, and he spits it right out immediately. And he says, what is this? He says, this is 2-year-old Scotch. I asked for 12-year-old Scotch. Bartender's like, yeah, right, lucky guess, whatever. Grabs another bottle, and he pours it down, serves it in front of the patron. Patron goes ahead and puts the contents in his mouth, and again, he spits it out. I asked for 12-year-old Scotch. This is 6. I want 12. Bartender's thinking, well, you know, maybe he's got something there. He goes ahead, he pours him another shot, sets it in front of the patron. Patron goes ahead and takes a swallow, spits it right out again. And he says, damn it, I asked for 12. This is 9. He says, I am not going to ask you again. So the bartender acquiesces and gets the 12-year-old Scotch, set it down in front of the gentleman. The gentleman swallows it down, and he goes, thank you, sir. That is 12-year-old Scotch. Very smooth. The bartender just has nothing to say. At the end of the bar, however, this old boy is saying, hey, why don't you try a shot of this? Patron walks over there, grabs a shot glass. My goodness gracious, where the hell did you come from? No, that wasn't part of the joke.
Yeah, right?
That was part of someone being crazy out here. Lord have mercy. He's doing excess of 100 out here on 5. Oh, but anyways, he walks over there, takes the shot glass, puts it in his mouth, and he spits it out. He says, man, this tastes like whiz. And the drunk says, it is. How old am I?
Oh, boy, how old am I? That's pretty good, Heatwave. Thank you much. Be safe out there. Hey, look out. Somebody out there driving like a maniac, 100-plus mile an hour, all right? Hello to Scotty, a.k.a. Demon. They're about 12:30, a little less than an hour ago. He was hanging out live from the B-Dubs in Wichita, Kansas. Having a Miller Lite for me, he says. And chicken wings. Enjoy, right? All right, hello to the Michigan Madman. Hey, finally quit snowing here in Michigan. Yay. Buster Brown, Steve, we like you nightly. 64 degrees and some strong rain in K-Town. Till tomorrow night, but at least it's warm anyway. There's a Happy New Year, Steve. Tar Heel checking in North Carolina, throwing the newspapers this morning. Looks like Colton said he's getting tired. Good night to everybody. All right. Thanks for checking in this morning, Colton. Good to have you on board. Hello to Sylvester checking in. Let's see. Clearing cold here in Post Falls, Idaho, says Mark, where it's 7 degrees, feels like 5 below. Burr. Lauren Weiss, 2-time world champion bull hauler. Morning, Steve. Shout out to the Carolina Monkey Gouger from high above Branson once again on the Ferris wheel. All right. And we'll return into the Steve Summers Overnight Drive live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
Live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios, the Steve Summers Overnight Drive.
You work hard. You deserve a seat that works just as hard as you do. The Bostrom T-Series seat has provided drivers with comfort for millions of miles over the past 3 decades. Each seat is built right here in the USA and has 4-position front cushion tilt and higher low-profile air suspension with Isolator. It's also equipped with many standard and optional comfort features, such as high and mid backrests, 9.4-inch fore-aft slide adjustment, adjustable armrests, and manual or dual air lumbar support systems to keep you comfortable throughout your ride. Build your T-Series seat today at BostromSeating.com and ensure your ultimate comfort for wherever the road takes you. Bostrom Seating, the ultimate comfort for the open road.
After a long winter road trip, there's nothing like coming home to a warm, comfortable home. Hi, I'm Steve with USA Insulation. When we put our foam in your walls, it's like putting a coat around your entire home. It keeps the cold air out and the warm air in. We're getting homes ready right now for winter, and we have $1,000 savings for everyone. But because we love our truckers, we're going to give you an additional $250 discount for mentioning the show. 1-800-USA-FOAM or USAinsulation.net.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. She wasn't even really sure where she was at.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Because Channel 19's a little congested. Call Steve now at 844-844-3388. The Overnight Drive.
Yeah, it was a story that was kind of breaking during the program last evening, there on our Tuesday morning. And he brought up the shooting in the Denver area. I got a bit more information through the day this past day, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions. But another death, a 5th victim, succumbing to their injuries from the gunman who has been identified now. So that brings 5, the number that were killed in Monday night's rampage. Gunman was ultimately shot by police, killed. Police in Denver and the adjacent suburb of Lakewood announcing the latest death on a briefing this past day, which spanned both municipalities and 2 tattoo shops. Identified the gunman as a 47-year-old Lyndon McLeod. They did not offer a motive and didn't give a whole lot of detail about the guy, except to say All the dead, except one, which was the hotel clerk, were known to him. In other words, these were targeted shootings. They did not explain his ties to the victims as well. He died following an exchange of gunfire with the Lakewood police officer who, despite taking a bullet to the abdomen, was able to fire her weapon, fatally striking the gunman. They did not name the officer at this point, but they did say she was a 3-year veteran of the force and said her actions were heroic. She took a situation that was horrendous and put herself in harm's way to stop it. She did undergo surgery. She is expected to survive. But Denver's police chief said this guy, James McLeod, had been on law enforcement's radar prior to the shooting. And he was the subject of investigations both last year, 2020, and again this year. But he was never charged with a crime. They did not discuss the nature of what they were investigating with this particular individual. But it all started a little after 5 o'clock in the afternoon when this McLeod entered a tattoo parlor near downtown Denver, opening fire, killing 2 women, and critically wounding a man there. He then shot dead a man at a home in East Denver before firing at others on the city's west side without hitting anyone there. He then got into a running gun battle with Denver police who were pursuing him. In that pursuit, he ultimately drove to Lakewood and entered another tattoo shop where he fatally shot a man there and then stormed into a hotel, shooting the clerk, which ultimately led to the deadly encounter with the Lakewood officer, where she took him out, took him down. But straight out of Hollywood kind of thing, right? Crazy stuff. All right, our number, plenty of room for you, by the way. It's been a quiet week on the phones at the Hotshot Secret Bunker. It's 844-844-3388. Let's get our news break and much more to come as we make our way into the 29th day of December, counting down to the new year. The Steve Sommers Overnight Drive live from the Hotshot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
Airports are blaming staffing shortages for thousands of flight cancellations. Another 2,200 flights were canceled due to surging cases of the Omicron variant. More than 2,000 have been delayed. This traveler telling Fox News he's planning ahead.
We got to the airport early for that reason, in case it does get canceled. Hopefully we can catch another flight out from a different airline or whatever.
Tragedy strikes in Denver, Colorado.
4 shooting locations across the Denver, Colorado metro area last night left 5 souls dead, including the shooter and a police officer injured, according to Denver Police Chief Paul Pazin. The investigation is ongoing and a motive is not known at this time. From the West Coast to USA Radio News Bureau, I'm Lance Pry.
Jury deliberations resuming on Tuesday in the sex trafficking trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, and I want to tell you that arthritis is not a genetic thing. It's not a disease of aging. Neither is osteoporosis. Get a hold of my book. It's all in your head. It goes into the 25 different diseases you get when you have osteoporosis of the skull. These are all reversible. You take the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, the MSM, vitamin D3, stay away from all the bad foods, including gluten, and guess what? You'll regrow all your bones, including your skull and your legs and your hips and everything else. Contact us at usaradiohealth.com. That's usaradiohealth.com.
Did you know Mike Lindell has over 150 different items on the MyPillow website, and any of them would be great for Christmas gifts for your friends and family? Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square, use my promo code USA, or call 1-800-951-8175 after you've explored the MyPillow website. Use that promo code USA and save big on anything in the MyPillow website just for Christmas.
You're listening to the Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers.
Drivers, you demand that your equipment's reliable and dependable, and that also applies to your headset for communication. Well, our friends at Stellar Electronic have you covered. The Pluto Duo headset bundle is the best communication headset you can find in the industry. No matter the challenging environment you're driving in, the Pluto headset will make you sound crystal clear all the time thanks to their 99% noise cancellation. And the Duo's not only a stereo converter for the headset, but also a power bank so you can charge as you go. Learn more at StellarElectronic.com or visit them on Facebook.
Do you have a Dodge pickup and hate your automatic transmission? Of course you do. LaVon Miller at Firepunk Diesel here, and we specialize in heavy-duty and performance transmissions for your 3-quarter or 1-ton Cummins-powered truck. So if you're interested in turning your stock slush box into a towing monster, call us today at 614-733-3744 or visit us online at shop.firepunk.com.
It's coming. Crisp fall mornings turn bitter cold. As you fire up your diesel, you can see your breath on the inside of a cab. Imagine looking deep into your engine. Freezing temperatures impact your diesel's fluids, especially fuel. On a 23-degree morning, the paraffin wax in your untreated fuel starts to morph from fluid to large crystals. These crystals clump together and form a gel. At minus 10 degrees, your fuel hits the point where it no longer pours like a liquid. It's so dense that the flow through the fuel filter will slow, causing hard starts or no starts. Get prepared now for the cold that is coming. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel is a premium fuel additive that lowers your fuel's pour point to minus 65 degrees. If it's that cold out, you shouldn't be on the road. You ought to be at home in front of the fireplace. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel Premium Fuel Additive. Available now online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
Attention all truckers, Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I want to talk to you about those dreaded tax problems. I know you want to keep on trucking and not even think about them. Well, let's face it, they're not going away all on their own. You need professional help. I've been helping truckers put their tax problems in the rearview mirror for years. I can help you too. Call me for a free consultation at 888-632-4506 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com. It's like I always say, keep your eyes on the road, I'll keep mine on the IRS. 888-632-4506.
After a long winter road trip, there's nothing like coming home to a warm, comfortable home. Hi, I'm Steve with USA Insulation. When we put our foam in your walls, it's like putting a coat around your entire home. It keeps the cold air out and the warm air in. We're getting homes ready right now for winter, and we have $1,000 savings for everyone. But because we love our truckers, we're going to give you an additional $250 discount for mentioning the show. 1-800-USA-FOAM or USAinsulation.net.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Steve Summers Overnight Drive, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
Back at it here. I was doing a little search. Big Ed, are you with me? I don't know when we'll hear from Big Ed again, but here in about a month, Big Ed's going to hang up the keys. It was a couple of days before Christmas. He says, well, where to begin? Got a call this morning from my load planner. She said, I've got a Christmas gift for you. What's your plans for Christmas? I said, well, I'm going to motel up till Sunday and crank it back up Sunday. because I want to be home Thursday afternoon or evening. She said, well, when you get done in Memphis, why don't you go down to Longview, Texas? There's a brand new 2021 unit sitting there with your name on it. She started telling me about all the bells and whistles it has, a wraparound deer guard, which is nice, a new APU, all the comforts of home. I said, darn, that's a nice Christmas gift. And I said, well, I have a Christmas gift for you. She said, lay it on me. Well, I said, I hate to do it, but I'm going to refuse your gift because January 31st will be my last day. I'm hanging up the keys. Yeah, I will take the unit wherever you want it, and that'll be it. Yeah, so I wouldn't feel good about getting a new unit and driving it for 5 weeks, when you probably have someone out there next in line for a new unit. Of course, she didn't want my gift. She started talking about money. I said, no, you're not understanding. It's not about money. Because my income's getting ready to take a nosedive. I'm starting Social Security next year. I've already got an appointment to go in and handle the small details. If it was about money, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, or I'm going to do. Of course, I'm hanging it up 2 years before I technically should, because it'll be 2 more years before I'm no longer under the Social Security cap as far as what I can work and make. But my take is this. I've got some money saved with my Social Security, and if I choose to do something part-time, I'll be just fine. While I still have my health, now's the time for me to slow down, do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. I can go anywhere in this country and work seasonal part-time. I can go to the local vocational tech if they need a qualified instructor. Here I am. I can whore myself out. They call one of those job placement companies. Go run a load for somebody to any part of the country if they need a driver. Bring the unit back, park it, and not worry about it. I can work 5, 4, 3 months out of my calendar year. I don't have to lay around and let the cobwebs grow on me. Sorry if you fit the description. I don't mean to offend, but the deal, I don't have to drive anymore if I don't want to. Do I want to completely quit working? No, I love being active. So after explaining this to the load planner, she said, well, I'm going to talk to HR about figuring a way to keep you in the system. I said, well, that'd be fine. If you need me to do unit recovery and you're paying expenses to and from along with a nominal fee, I'd be your guy. If you need me to come out and cover for a week, I'm your guy, but that will require expenses to and from the unit. So I had to refuse the gift. And Black Hawk did not want my gift, but I got to say, I have loved working for these folks. I'm sure they feel the same. After I got off the phone, I got a feeling that I'm going to hear some more from Black Hawk. The problem isn't about the money. So what can they do to keep me around? I don't know. As for insurance, well, I guess I'll become a ward of the state because that's the last thing I'm worried about. I mean, heck, the liberals are giving the bank away. That includes my health care. I might as well stick my hand out and get in line. All I know is I woke up last Thursday, and the first thing I thought, was it time to hang it up? This last year and 7 months has been one hell of an adventure. I'm going to leave in my pickup about the middle of February and go bum around the Pacific Northwest for about 5 weeks. Just get off the interstate and hit the back roads. No big set plans. Just go and enjoy the artwork that God has created. And I will take no one, just me, myself, and I. All right. Anyway, Merry Christmas, he said. Just, I guess, one of these days you wake up and say, is it that time? So like I said, I'm sure he wouldn't have a problem with me sharing the story. Maybe Big Ed can check in one of these nights. I know he's He had been working days to begin with, and I'm not sure if he's off now for the holidays or not, but if we don't talk to you first, Big Ed, if you're catching us on the podcast, best wishes across the board. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Maybe on your adventures out there, one of these days you can maybe swing through Cincinnati. Hang out in the secret bunker some night, right? Sound like a plan? All right, good morning, Eagle. How we doing?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I just left the house today. I'm back out here on the road again. I couldn't call in on Sunday or Monday because I was at home, spent a couple of days, but I'm back out here on the road. I'm at Steve. I'm not gonna make a big deal out of New Year's this year. A lot of other people are doing the same, due to this Omicron situation. They're telling people to stay away from large crowds. So I told, it doesn't make any sense, to have a big celebration or nothing. So I decided that I'm coming back out on the road and make me some money. It's New Year. It's just another year to me, brother. Last year was, a joke as far as I'm concerned, political wise, and the last 2 years. So like I said, it ain't really much, the new night, it's a bunch of idiots out there. People don't know how to conduct themselves in a productive manner anyway. So I'd rather be out here on the road making money than to waste my time at some party, drinking and all that, so I decided to hang out on the road, drive my truck and make money this year, Steve. You know something, Steve? Are you still there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know something, Steve? Over the last couple of days, I already had this virus situation figured out. Well, pretty much figured out. But it's becoming more and more obvious what's going on with this Omicron. I mean, with this Corona situation. Do you realize, Steve? The NFL. I'm just going to relate it to sports for right now, and then I'll move on to this other ways that this virus is affecting things. You look at the NFL, Steve. This virus has almost shut the NFL down, put the NFL down to its knees, and really for nothing. They canceling, ball players are missing out on ball games because they have to sit out 5 to 10 days. If they turn up positive. You got a guy right now with the Indianapolis Colts named Carson Wentz. This guy here, he refuses to take the vaccine. His team is in playoff contention, a chance to make the playoffs, and he will not be able to play his game on Sunday because he doesn't fit into the 10-day schedule of coronavirus. So he could possibly cost Indianapolis a playoff seed, or maybe a lower seed because him not being available to play. This is totally ridiculous what's going on, Steve. Because see, the reason why I say this is because this virus is not as deadly as the first version of it. There is no reason why an individual. Explain to me, Steve, why. If you test positive for a coronavirus, why would it affect you in playing a football game if you don't have any serious symptoms? If you're not, have a high fever, or if you're not, not feeling well, why would you not be allowed to play the football game if you test positive? Can you explain that to me?
I have no idea, Eagle. It boggles my mind because everything I've seen when these players do test positive, they've had games that they postponed for 2 days because team members tested positive. What the hell's 2 days difference going to make?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, Steve. And now today, here's something that's even worse situation happened today. A college football game was canceled between UCLA and North Carolina State at the last minute. And these people from North Carolina are raising hell because they flew all the way across the country
Can you
to
imagine
California.
That? Yes.
And then at the last minute, they canceled the football game, saying that the coronavirus related players were sick, weren't sick, but there was players that turned up positive for the corona. So they canceled out the ball game. But, you know, I was listening to a sports show tonight, Steve. Here's what's really devastating to some of these athletes on both of these teams. A lot of these guys, this is their last football game. A lot of these guys are not going to play professional football. So that means that this game being canceled today, that was their last opportunity to ever play organized football. Do you realize that these people lost their career over something as petty as that? So now these guys, they have to live with that the rest of their life, that they never got a chance to play their last football game because of a virus or whatever this situation is. It really makes no sense. And see, here, Steve, here's how I know that the government and these organizations, they caught themselves I call them red-handed this time, Steve. You know, let me tell you how I know this is nothing but a game with these people. First, they said that it was 10 days, 14 days grace period, that if you tested positive, you had to, sit out quarantine. Then they dropped it down to 10 days. Now all of a sudden, guess what? It's 5 days, Steve. How are these days changing? Explain to me how these days go from 14, it started out 14, then it went to 10. Now they're saying you got 5 days, and then you good to go. You know, it seems like they change the numbers at will. Whenever it suits them. So that tells you right there that there's another situation going on as far as I'm concerned. Okay, now let's go back to and I told you this about Joe Biden and all these other guys. All these airlines are canceling flights. People are stranded right now as we speak, Steve. People can't even get back to their home. They went to visit people for the Christmas holidays, and now flights are being canceled all over America because they say that they don't have enough people working at the airports. People are calling in, this and that. So you got people stranded on this situation. Now you got this other situation that's even more ridiculous that I heard about. I advise, I know you're a big cruise ship person. I told you this last week because I knew it was going to happen. I think they said that today, I listened to the radio, they got 25 cruise ships that have confirmed cases of coronavirus outbreaks on it. And I don't know if these ships are still out at sea or where the hell they at, but they said that they got 25 ships that have an outbreak of this virus. Okay. So here's where I'm going with this, Steve. Okay. We said this weeks ago when this Omicron variant came out from South Africa that this thing was more contagious. Okay. We noticed that this virus is more, but what they don't want to tell you in the whole deal, we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks, is that this virus is not as deadly. But for some reason, they won't tell the American people that and let you know that this is not, that they trying to scare people, telling they still with this vaccination deal, and that blew up in their face, Steve. That makes them, it looks like a complete idiot, and that goes back to the NFL again. A lot of these players that are testing positive have been vaccinated, but yet you still got Joe Biden on television, Dr. Fauci, and all these other idiots. You get vaccinated for what? So you can test positive. It makes no sense, Steve. The whole deal. So I'm just fed up with these people. It's that somebody telling me, you mind your own business. You don't tell me to get vaccinated. Like I told you a couple of weeks ago, Steve. If the vaccination was working, guess what? Eagle would be in line first thing tomorrow morning, 8:00, when the doctor's office opened up, getting my vaccination. If I knew it was going to stop me from catching the virus, apparently it's not going to stop. So guess what? I won't be up tomorrow morning getting that vaccination. And I advise other people to do that, because basically what it boils down to is you wasting your time and everybody and your family's time when you take them down to get vaccinated, as far as I'm concerned. They can say that it gives them out, it helps you stay healthy, it helps you not get as sick. That's still not proven yet. So like I said before, this is going to go on like I told you, Steve. I heard a guy say the other day, well, when the hell is this virus going to end? When are we going to stop talking about it? I told you when we'll stop talking about it. That'll be in 2024 after the election, when they ruin the election for another Republican to get back in the White House, because they're going to ride this all the way to 2024, and they're going to have mail-in ballots. They're going to have people so scared to go vote that you're going to stay at home just like they want you to, and then they're going to rig and steal the election just like they did in 2020. So that's your answer on when the virus will go away, after the 2024 election. And I thank you for taking my call tonight.
All right, Eagle. I know there's probably some that we're saying, hey, stop him right there, stop him, and trying to say that you're wasting your time with the vaccine. Yes, the premise that the vaccine will prevent, in most cases, severe illness, hospitalization, you won't end up having to be on a ventilator, those sort of things. That's the idea. It may save your life. But at the same time, it is not guaranteed that COVID still won't kill you. There's no guarantees in anything, apparently. We know factually that the shots have killed some people. The shots have saved many people. Many have succumbed to COVID even after being fully vaccinated. But so I don't advise anyone on what they should or should not do. Just make your own informed decision, right? And then it falls squarely on your own shoulders. And I say, anybody been hearing about people fully vaccinated dying of COVID? There was a story out of Oregon, which reads like this. We were told the vaccine's going to stop the spread. Yet over 620 residents of Oregon, that state alone, died of COVID despite being fully vaccinated. Statistics from the Oregon Health Authority, a total of 622 fully COVID-vaccinated residents have died since the start of this. Of those who died of COVID, 314 were recipients of the Pfizer vaccine, 167 of the Moderna, 84 recipients of the J&J. Oregon Health Authority data and the data from the CDC apparently falls on the deaf on the ears of politicians. Despite the alarming number of vaccine-related deaths, the federal government and the president continue to urge getting vaccinated. The Tuesday before Christmas, he spent more than 20 minutes scolding unvaccinated Americans for harming those who have been vaccinated, claiming the unvaccinated are most vulnerable. His quote was at the time, if you're not fully vaccinated, you have a good reason to be concerned. Almost everybody who's died in the past many months has been unvaccinated. You're putting other people at risk, your loved ones, your friends, your neighbors, strangers. You may think you're putting only yourself at risk, but it's your choice. Your choice is not just about you. It affects other people. You're putting other people at risk, your loved ones, your friends, neighbors, strangers you run into. That was the statement from the White House, of course. And with that, what are we looking at? About 5 before the hour or so. Let me jump over a couple of other tidbits we wanted to touch on. Yes, several people had emailed me. I did see that story. That the sporting world, the sports world, lost one of its most beloved and iconic figures this past day, the passing of John Madden, the NFL Hall of Fame coach turned broadcaster. Of course, how cool has it been all these years to be able to walk down the aisle in the video game department and see your name on dozens and dozens of NFL video games. Madden. How many years back do the Madden games go? Became, of course, known for his unique style of broadcasting NFL games. Once he transitioned to the broadcast booth, then he was more known for that than his remarkable coaching career. A career that produced a 103-win, 32-loss, 7-tie record and one Super Bowl title for the Oakland Raiders. John was 85 years old. According to the statement from the NFL, he died unexpectedly. No details about a cause released. I'd assume he probably just had a heart attack, right? The NFL commissioner says nobody loved football more than Coach. He was football. An incredible sounding board to me and so many others. There will never be another John Madden, and we will forever be indebted to him for all he did to make football and the NFL what it actually is today. Yep. So, yeah, lost John Madden, and I think there was another on the list that we lost this past day as well. I think I've got that over here. Meanwhile, we'll get some of the other industry headlines coming up here. Speaking of college football, aside from the bowl games that have been canceled, the headline out of Los Angeles, they say that plain and simple, there's no other way to describe it. The choice of several Ohio State players has tainted the greatest tradition in college football. And what they're describing as a very disheartening move, even if it's justified, 4 Buckeyes have opted out of playing in the Rose Bowl on January 1. The decades-long dream for players in 2 conferences has morphed into a worthless consolation prize now. Just a month ago, the one-loss Buckeyes had visions of making the 4-team playoff for the 3rd consecutive year. Those dreams, of course, crushed after Michigan took down the Buckeyes to close out the regular season, rendering them bound for Pasadena as the Big Ten representative in the Rose Bowl. But for those 4 Ohio State starters, skipping one last chance to play with their teammates. Receivers, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, along with offensive tackle Nicholas Petit-Frere and defensive tackle Haskell Garrett, have decided not to play. They've all declared for the NFL. Which, yeah, for the other teammates, that's got to be a real bummer. In recent years, players have opted out of participating in some of these second-tier games, which most bowl games are now, rather than risk injury in what would essentially be an otherwise meaningless game. But this is the first time this trend has actually impacted the stature of the Rose Bowl, no less. This is the Rose Bowl. Are we going to pick and choose where a game has meaning? I mean, your team's playing a blanket game. It matters. You go play and go compete your ass off. I don't get meaningless, and I never will. For their part, it sounds like the Utes are ecstatic to play in the program's first Rose Bowl. Not coincidentally, no Utah player has opted out, even though several will actually forego eligibility to pursue the NFL next season. So you can't help but wonder, how does that leave the other players on the team, your teammates, many of which you've been fighting alongside for 3-4 years? How are they going to feel about that? Probably a bit of a sour taste in their mouth, if I had to guess. All right, so what do we got here? A news update coming up as we hit the top of the hour, hour number 2. We're making our way into a midweek Wednesday. Lines available at 844-3388. Quick Santa Claus gave me the update. I-80 conditions there in California. In the northern Sierra Nevada, Northern California area, closed. I-80 closed to all tractor-trailer semi-combinations from Applegate to the Nevada state line due to snow. All tractor-trailer, semi-trailer combinations are advised to use an alternate route. Chains are required for eastbound traffic. All vehicles except four-wheel drive with snow tires on all 4 wheels from Nyack to the Hirschdale Road in Truckee to the Nevada, high wind advisory is in effect from the Solano-Yolo County line to the Yolo-Sacramento County line. Travel not recommended for campers, trailers, or permit loads. Windy conditions. All right. And with that, we'll be back after this. Lines available at 844-844-3388. It is the Steve Summers Overnight Drive live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
Airports are blaming staffing shortages for thousands of flight cancellations. Another 2,200 flights were canceled due to surging cases of the Omicron variant. More than 2,000 have been delayed. This traveler telling Fox News he's planning ahead.
We got to the airport early for that reason. In case it does get canceled, hopefully we can catch another flight out from a different airline or whatever.
Tragedy strikes in Denver, Colorado.
4 shooting locations across the Denver, Colorado metro area last night left 5 souls dead, including the shooter and a police officer injured, according to Denver Police Chief Paul Pazin. The investigation is ongoing and a motive is not known at this time. From the West Coast USA Radio News Bureau, I'm Lance Pry.
Jury deliberations resuming on Tuesday in the sex trafficking trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Wayne Alaroot. It's official. Inflation is at its highest level since the 1980s, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. What most people don't know is that it's actually much worse. Inflation may be higher now than the 1980s since the new measurements exclude food and energy. Gas prices up 58%, energy up 33%. What can you do about it? Protect yourself and your family. Only gold, silver, and other hard assets give you true protection. My friends at Tangible Investments guarantee the absolute lowest prices on precious metals. Check them out at TII1.com or call 800-300-8441. Tangible Investments has 40 years of experience and billions, that's with a B, billions in transactions. Call 800-300-8441 if you want help with gold, silver, platinum. They guarantee you the best prices plus excellent service. Call Tangible Investments now, 800-300-8441 or visit TII1.com. They also provide free verbal appraisals.
A new Gallup poll out shows President Biden has a 43% approval rating among those surveyed, with 51% of Americans disapproving of his performance. Kentucky Republican Senator James Comer tells Fox and Friends First he believes the low numbers are because the president does not have a single win in office.
Canceling the construction of the southern border wall, which has led to, huge amounts of illegals, huge amounts of drugs flowing across our border, huge amounts of COVID flowing across our border. He cut off the Keystone Pipeline. Gas prices have doubled. Inflation is on the rise. There's a labor shortage.
Colorado Democratic Congressman Jason Crow is using the recent tragic murders of 4 people in his state to say this is why we need to have a serious conversation about gun violence. Crow's comments coming within 24 hours of the tragedy. USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, and I want to tell you that arthritis is not a genetic thing. It's not a disease of aging. Neither is osteoporosis. Get a hold of my book. It's all in your head. It goes into the 25 different diseases you get when you have osteoporosis of the skull. These are all reversible. You take the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, the MSM, vitamin D3, stay away from all the bad foods, including gluten, and guess what? You'll regrow all your bones, including your skull and your legs and your hips and everything else. Contact us at usaradiohealth.com. That's usaradiohealth.com.
A terrifying new viral video shows a man being hit by lightning.
Closed-circuit television footage in Jakarta, Indonesia, has captured a security guard who luckily survived a direct hit by lightning, according to local media. In the video, shared by an Indonesian media company and reported on social media, the man can be seen walking in the rain under an umbrella some 15 seconds after he enters the frame. A blast and sparks can be seen in the very place he walked, and the footage then shows him lying on the wet ground. He fails to get up, and people run toward him. The man survived, having suffered burns to his hands, according to Detik News. It is believed the guard's walkie-talkie, which he had in his hands, attracted the lightning. From the USA Radio News, West Texas Bureau, I'm Brad Bernards.
An Idaho sheriff accused of assaulting a group of kids at gunpoint in November heads to court on Wednesday amid calls for him to step down. Bingham County Sheriff Craig Rowland is facing charges after he allegedly stopped a vehicle with 7 girls ages 12 to 16 and their group leader, pulling her out by her hair and pointing a gun to her head. The girls had been making thank you notes to tape to doors in the neighborhood, but the sheriff claims he thought someone was trying to break into his house. Please remember to follow us on Facebook at USA Radio. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
We know you'd like to be cuddled up real tight with a sweet little thing all night. But instead, you've got Steve Sommers. It's the Overnight Drive.
It's coming. Crisp fall mornings turn bitter cold. You climb into your diesel and it feels like you're sitting on an ice cube. Imagine how your engine feels after a frosty night. Freezing temperatures impact your diesel's fluids, especially fuel. As the temperatures drop, water that is emulsified within your fuel is released, adding more water into your system. Frozen water in your fuel lines, filter, or bowl will simply slow the flow, or worse, stop the flow of fuel in your system. No fuel flow, no start. Get prepared now for the cold that is coming. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel is a premium fuel additive that lowers your fuel's pour point to minus 65 degrees. If it's that cold out, you shouldn't be on the road. You ought to be at home in front of the fireplace. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel Premium Fuel Additive. Available now online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
That's right. That was the other one. Eskimo Mom. She reminded me. She said Madden is a wow, but it was about, Harry Reid, the former Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid. That's another wow. Harry Reid passed away yesterday. So Madden was 85. Harry Reid was 82. Son of a Nevada hard rock miner who rose from poverty to become the United States Senate Majority Leader. Earned a reputation as a fierce partisan fighter during an era of gridlock in Washington. An era of gridlock. It's been gridlock there for as long as I can remember. Cause of death not announced, but he had undergone surgery for pancreatic cancer back in May of 2018. As Majority Leader, though, of course, Reid served as Democrat President Barack Obama's point man in the Senate, which, in spite of ferocious Republican opposition, Harry back in 2010 secured congressional passage of Obama's signature health care law, Obamacare. Choosing not to run for re-election in 2016, a year after suffering broken ribs and broken facial bones, injuring an eye in an accident while exercising at home. All right. Harry Reid. And you got good old Dr. Fauci. Harry Reid kind of, to some extent, he kind of reminded me of Fauci, or Fauci reminded me of Harry Reid. You know, you have those impressions. The first impression, seeing Dr. Fauci, of whom I had never really heard of or remembered hearing of, prior to the COVID pandemic, when still under the Trump administration. Recall when they came up with Vice President Pence heading up the COVID task force, and we started getting those daily briefings from Dr. Fauci and Dr. Scarf. And just, first impression was he just kind of, I don't know, he looked like the devil to me. The devil incarnate. To some extent, Harry Reid kind of reminded me of that. But, Fauci, I guess he's not going away for a while. But, according to him, when this whole pandemic is in the rearview mirror, he will be retiring. Should have been gone a long time ago. But when he does ultimately retire, he is set to receive the largest federal retirement package in U.S. history at $350,000 per year. Fauci was the most highly compensated federal employee, according to auditors at openbooks.com. As director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Fauci earning 434,000 and some change last year, up from 417,000 and change in 2019. Fauci earned a total of $1.25 million from 2018 to 2020 in salary as a federal employee. That's our taxpayer dollars. Now he has the audacity to say, I'm the head of an institute that actually played the major role in development of the vaccines that have saved now millions of lives from COVID. So I'm going to keep doing that until this COVID outbreak is in the rear view mirror. Regardless of what anybody says about me or wants to lie and create crazy fabrications because of political motivations. From 2004 through 2007, Fauci received a nearly 68% pay increase. He went from $200,000 to $335,000 per year. And yes, this guy is making more on the taxpayer's dime than the President of the United States today. All right, looking at 13 past the hour. Back to the phones we go. Morning to the Chevy guy. What's happening out there?
Oh, no, what? Well, COVID may have hit the train crew that, brings, they run the junk train. They deliver cars here, cars there to the different businesses down from Augusta down through towards Savannah. We haven't seen a train all week. It's interesting. We're darn near throwing the chips on the ground. They've got walking floors hauling chips for at the end of the mill and taking them out on a pad to be hauled, front loaded later, which is something new. They had to throw that in there because I think they knew something was coming up the pipe. But, train. So it's affecting the train crews and getting the chips moved. But man, it's a wide open season for trucking. We got there's no wait. Get under the bin, load, or drop the hook. You just keep on moving. So it's a good time to be driving wood chips. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Did look up. I appreciate anybody that challenges you in your mindset to look up the value of a life. How would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I looked up manslaughter, which is, I guess, you look up the least of the least of a crime, involuntary manslaughter, which set me back. Now, it did clearly say that different states, different meanings, different results, and I assume this is in South Carolina because they, in that, when I typed it in, it referred to, different law firms in South Carolina. But believe it or not, 12 months for involuntary manslaughter. So I guess if you want to go with the least, if you want to put the value on a life in our court system, 12 months, which sort of set me back. I said, wow, next month, the January 6th, people sitting in jail waiting to be charged will actually be in jail as long as it takes for somebody to take somebody's life. So it just had to bring that up.
That's kind of hard to imagine. I've shared two separate stories in the past, last week alone, of truck drivers involved in accidents. Actual accidents, but they're trying to say that the Colorado thing wasn't. The one that killed 4, he was facing 3 to 5 years. The more recent one was the guy that killed 3, and they reduced his charges to where he's facing 1 year in prison for accidentally killing 3 people. 1 year.
Yeah, it comes down to that intent. And that was mentioned in that when you move up on the manslaughter charges, and it goes, it was like reading a book. And, you know, it was, it comes down to intent, and as you move up, it's a deeper charge. But, yeah, I still don't have an opinion. I don't know about the whole case. There's all kinds of questions on that. But, yeah, it would have been odd that this guy, if it was, you could consider it a negligent manslaughter or whatever, and murder charge, whatever, and sitting in jail doing the same time as the fellow that purposely drove his vehicle down through killing people in the Christmas parade.
Right.
You know, it just, you know, an intentional, he had murder in his heart when he did it. So it's, but that I appreciate that, you know, somebody challenged me, and I looked it up, and that was a shocker. Also about the Cuban thing, about somebody here from Cuba. Now, when I grew up in Florida, we moved down there 70, 71, something like that, and so most of my friends were, you know, they spoke Spanish, English, and most of them were Cubans, and their parents were, you know, fled Castro, you know, Fred Reyes, Soil Palomino, and all this, and it never was an issue with me, and never thought about it one way or the other. But from the early 1960s, because of that, they had a wet foot, dry foot policy. But if you're from Cuba and you get to this country, you get fast-tracked, you move to the front, you automatically get a green card. So I guess that gives you the ability to make a living in any way you see fit while you're in this country. Interesting enough in that story, and I didn't go far enough to carry it on, but Obama, on his last days of getting out of office, ended the wet foot, dry foot policy. Meaning you were ankle deep in the Atlantic or the Gulf of Mexico, coming up on shore and Coast Guard catches you, you're going back to Cuba. But if you're out of the water, step out of the water, you're out of the water on the sand, they could not deport you back to Cuba. So they said Obama ended that. That explains a lot to me how the Cubans in Florida don't or have basically turned on Democrats and are a heavy supporter for the Republican Party. But they're said also now the instead of swimming across or coming across from Cuba, they go to Mexico now, and there you go. It's more likely that they're going to come up through Mexico and through our open borders. So interesting. Just hey, I appreciate anybody that tells you to challenges you and it keeps it on your mind, and you spend the time, the little bit of time you have, to start studying this stuff and getting online. And where I live, I get like 1 or 2 bars sometimes. Other times I don't have any internet at all, and I'm only a half a mile away from a tower. But you know, it's interesting. They're from Cuba, you know, they're here legally, and that's, yeah, I'm not even sure about, I haven't gone far enough to read that. I assume that if they come across the border in Mexico, they get here, then they're getting fast track to the green card. So, but hey, at least we know they're going to vote Republican for the most part, other than some of them protest groups. Like I said, take up the door. Don't rattle the door.
Can you get through one night without that damn door popping open? Have you told them at the shop to fix the darn thing?
Well, they'll lock the truck down, and Mexican mechanics, I think they're trying to get rid of me anyway. No, they don't have the latch in yet, and if I get rid of this, the replacement vehicle right now is a Colombian. So, you know, I'm going to avoid that with the plague. I'll give them a day sitting at the job for them to do the oil change and put them door latch on. But yeah, I appreciate everybody in the show, and I appreciate everybody's opinion on this. And hey, it's amazing in our day and age if we're able to get in there and type in just any kind of search, and that's all I did is what is the penalty for taking the legal penalty of taking a life? And that's what I got came up on my phone. And the other one was Cuban status in America, and that stories come up there. But oddly enough, I never even knew that about my fellow. I imagine they were born in America, in Florida, or they brought here and their parents a green card. I do remember this much: working as a busboy at the Holiday Inn on US 1 in Melbourne, Florida. After school, they were all sitting around talking about Nixon this, Nixon that. It was the big thing: Nixon this, Nixon that. And the lady from Cuba was sitting there, and someone asked her about what did she think, and she goes, "I am not going to give you an opinion. I love this country, Democrat, Republican." She goes, "I got here because I got here and I'm free." She goes, "In my country, Castro has enslaved my people." So she goes, "I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican, as long as they welcomed us here." That she loves the American and the American people, and she said she goes stand back and.
You might as well be saying, I love anyone who's not a communist, like Castro. Coming here, still have some freedoms, right? Still have a lot of freedoms. I know, but with each passing day, it seems like incrementally losing a little bit here and a little bit there. And, think about what I shared earlier out of China with the artificial intelligence and the absolute surveillance of everything you do. To speak out in any form or fashion via an email or a text message, they're going to catch that, and you're going to be in prison. You don't have freedom, no freedom whatsoever. All right, tad bit behind here. Back into the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
You're listening to the Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers.
It's coming. Crisp fall mornings turn bitter cold. As you fire up your diesel, you can see your breath on the inside of a cab. Imagine looking deep into your engine. Freezing temperatures impact your diesel's fluids, especially fuel. On a 23-degree morning, the paraffin wax in your untreated fuel starts to morph from fluid to large crystals. These crystals clump together and form a gel. At minus 10 degrees, your fuel hits the point where it no longer pours like a liquid. It's so dense that the flow through the fuel filter will slow, causing hard starts or no starts. Get prepared now for the cold that is coming. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel is a premium fuel additive that lowers your fuel's pour point to minus 65 degrees. If it's that cold out, you shouldn't be on the road. You ought to be at home in front of the fireplace. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel Premium Fuel Additive. Available now online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret.
Powered by science.
Do you have a Dodge pickup and hate your automatic transmission? Of course you do. Levon Miller at Firepunk Diesel here, and we specialize in heavy-duty and performance transmissions for your 3-quarter or 1-ton Cummins-powered truck. So if you're interested in turning your stock slush box into a towing monster, call us today at 614-733-3744 or visit us online at shop.firepunk.com.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear. Because for years, he's only said,
only you can prevent wildfires.
But there's a lot more to say. Like if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
stories about the old cat lady, the lady that had 80 cats in her house. Loved her cats. Yeah, apparently there was some guy that loved birds, as in parakeets in particular. And this occurred over the Christmas weekend. Yeah, out of Romeo, Michigan. Kelly Labonte thought the man who called in desperation for help with dozens of parakeets that he found in his father's house. Thought he was going to drop off about 80 birds, and she works the shelter. He showed up with hundreds. The day before Christmas Eve, the man delivered 497 parakeets. Then, the day after Christmas, the guy calls again. He said he had about 50 additional parakeets to surrender to the Detroit Animal Welfare Group. Well, she said, knowing the birds that he had already turned in were in a horrible environment, she said, we didn't hesitate. Tell him to get the birds in quickly so we could immediately begin to triage the birds. Some were very young and separated from their mother due to the overcrowding, but instead of delivering several dozen more birds, dude brought in another 339 birds to the farm in Macomb County, where they typically care for dogs and other animals in the shelter and rehab wildlife. The birds were alive, but in distress, she says. They were all on top of each other, suffocating, very stressed. They weren't even really moving when they arrived. I thought they were all dead because none of them were moving. But, this woman from Birds and Beaks Rescue and Rehab in Battle Creek, Michigan, arrived with some volunteers to take more than 300 birds into their care. But that's just wild. So some guy had 800 and some odd birds living in his house. Wow. The sad thing is, though, he wasn't really caring for them. Meanwhile, we get back to the calls here. I tell you what, I'm looking at the clock, and we've got our news break to get in, after which we will get back to your calls at 844-3388. Speaking of animal rescues, I saw this post because it's just north of Cincinnati and Batavia, Ohio. Yeah, one county north, or I guess that would be east, Claremont County, east of Hamilton County. There were some puppies that were abandoned at a state park there. And the animal shelter posted the photo, and I saw this yesterday or the day before. Beautiful, beautiful puppies. First thing I'm thinking, boy, yeah, Turbo could use a playmate, right? Yeah, Princess would probably kill me, but according to the Claremont County Chief Dog Warden, they are very popular right now. She said, we're expecting a large group of people. We're calling in staff who were slated to be off work this Thursday. The local Fox News affiliate said there have been more than 1,000 inquiries about the dogs since the shelter made that post on Facebook. People, like I said, beautiful puppies looking to adopt. Now, if an original owner is not located within 2 days, the puppies will be available for adoption starting this Thursday. When the shelter opens at noon, adoption costs $170 per dog. Each puppy has to still be spayed or neutered, so they won't be going to a new home for at least a week. But they do say there is a limit, 1 dog per owner, because dogs from the same litter are usually separated to avoid aggression. Didn't realize that. But Claremont County deputies found the puppies along the beach at the park. The deputy dog warden then took them in and named them after the famous family musical group, the Jackson 5, with 5 males and 1 female. I looked in the window and was shocked at the puppies that were there. They were actually puppies, and they were nice-looking puppies. So what we've got is Jermaine, Tito, Randy, Marlon, Michael, and Janet, a.k.a. the Jacksons. They're estimating they're 3 to 4 months old. They're in good health. They each weigh at least 30 pounds. I say it's not unusual for owners to leave dogs at the park, but such a large litter in such good shape is quite out of the ordinary, she said. Okay. So I guess come this Thursday, there may be a heck of a line lined up at the Claremont County Animal Shelter, noon to 4 p.m. That's their hours, Tuesday through Saturday. But again, these puppies becoming adoptable Thursday. And we'll be back after this, the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive, live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
Airports are blaming staffing shortages for thousands of flight cancellations. Another 2,200 flights were canceled due to surging cases of the Omicron variant. More than 2,000 have been delayed. This traveler telling Fox News he's planning ahead.
We got to the airport early for that reason. In case it does get canceled, hopefully we can catch another flight out from a different airline or whatever.
Tragedy strikes in Denver, Colorado.
4 shooting locations across the Denver, Colorado metro area last night left 5 souls dead, including the shooter and a police officer injured, according to Denver Police Chief Paul Pazin. The investigation is ongoing and a motive is not known at this time. From the West Coast to USA Radio News Bureau, I'm Lance Pry.
Jury deliberations resuming on Tuesday in the sex trafficking trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, and I want to tell you that arthritis is not a genetic thing. It's not a disease of aging. Neither is osteoporosis. Get a hold of my book. It's all in your head. It goes into the 25 different diseases you get when you have osteoporosis of the skull. These are all reversible. You take the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, the MSM, vitamin D3, stay away from all the bad foods, including gluten, and guess what? You'll regrow all your bones, including your skull and your legs and your hips and everything else. Contact us at usaradiohealth.com. That's usaradiohealth.com.
Did you know Mike Lindell has over 150 different items on the MyPillow website, and any of them would be great for Christmas gifts for your friends and family? Go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener square, use my promo code USA, or call 1-800-951-8175 after you've explored the MyPillow website. Use that promo code USA and save big on anything in the MyPillow website just for Christmas.
You're listening to the Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers.
Do you have a Dodge pickup and hate your automatic transmission? Of course you do. Levon Miller at Firepunk Diesel here, and we specialize in heavy-duty and performance transmissions for your 3-quarter or 1-ton Cummins-powered truck. So if you're interested in turning your stock slush box into a towing monster, call us today at 614-733-3744 or visit us online at shop.firepunk.com.
After a long winter road trip, there's nothing like coming home to a warm, comfortable home. Hi, I'm Steve with USA Insulation. We appreciate our truckers and the long hours you're putting in to serve us all. Without you, we wouldn't even get the materials to insulate. So we want you to feel like a king when you get back. We put our foam in your walls. It's like putting a coat around your entire home. Keeps the cold air out and the warm air in. And with the rising energy costs, that's going to save you a bundle. We're getting homes ready for winter right now, and we have $1,000 of savings for everyone. But because we love our truckers, we're going to give you an additional $250 discount just for mentioning this show. So give us a call, 1-800-USA-FOAM. That's 1-800-USA-FOAM or usainsulation.net. We're going to give you an additional $250 discount for mentioning the show, 1-800-USA-FOAM or usainsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
It's coming. Crisp fall mornings turn bitter cold. You climb into your diesel and it feels like you're sitting on an ice cube. Imagine how your engine feels after a frosty night. Freezing temperatures impact your diesel's fluids, especially fuel. As the temperatures drop, water that is emulsified within your fuel is released, adding more water into your system. Frozen water in your fuel lines, filter, or bowl will simply slow the flow, or worse, stop the flow of fuel in your system. No fuel flow, no start. Get prepared now for the cold that is coming. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel is a premium fuel additive that lowers your fuel's pour point to minus 65 degrees. If it's that cold out, you shouldn't be on the road. You ought to be at home in front of the fireplace. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Winter Anti-Gel Premium Fuel Additive. Available now online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I have one question for you. Do you want to stop worrying about the IRS? If the answer is yes, then look no further. I've been around for years, I've helped countless people across the country, and my success rate speaks for itself. So now you know where to find good, honest help with your tax problems. What are you waiting for? If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or haven't filed in years, call me now at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com for a free consultation and get your life back.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Keep the bugs off your glass and the smokies off your ass. This is the Overnight Drive with Steve Sommers.
All right, get back to the calls here at 844-844-3388. You're going to say, Horse Feathers, you're giving out tickets or something? What are you doing?
Yeah, Your Honor. No, state of Maryland is.
Oh.
The great state police officers of Maryland here are hard at work on Interstate 83 there north of Baltimore, north of the Baltimore Beltway. And people stopped on the side of the road trying to get a little snoozy in there. They're writing down their tag numbers on their ticket book and then banging on their doors and handing them a nice little ticket and saying, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and get your ass out of here.
Oh, boy, yeah. What a way to ring in the new year.
Yep. So they were out there Monday morning doing it, and they're back this morning doing it. And so I guess it's they don't have anything else better to do right now. There's not enough traffic accidents or I guess other things going on that they got law enforcement out there, the state police are out there just, wherever anybody's trying to stop and get a nap. And the worst part about it is they got where they're stopping, there's a shoulder there that's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, probably 60 feet wide. A lot of it's dirt, been run over, but where it is, it's, but there's no posted, no parking signs or anything like that. It's just the fact it's the side of an interstate highway. And of course it's, supposed to be emergency stopping only on the side of a highway, but there's room there. They usually line up somewhere around 25, 30 trucks on the shoulder in this one part here. And they're well off, at least one or two truck widths away from the white line. So they're not really even on the shoulder. They're as I say, it's pretty wide, and I don't know why the state has either left it this way or not come up and put some markings in, other than the fact it's real easy for people to stop there and try to take a nap, and it's real easy for the state police to get out there and write tickets because they don't even have to be close to the highway to do it. But But it goes back to the lack of parking. You know, we talk about the parking issue and the lack of parking. And from Harrisburg to Baltimore, other than a couple convenience stores, there is absolutely no parking on the southbound 83 from Harrisburg all the way into downtown Baltimore. So there's no rest areas, no parking spots, other than, you know, a few convenience stores. And even the scale in Maryland, while it's closed, they have a gate on the end of it, so you can't enter the scale and drive into the scale and park on the way out of the scale, or even so you can stop on the outbound ramp of the scale, but you can't, unless you actually physically back into the scale, you can't get off the real highway, the ramping system and part of the highway to even have any place to park off the highway there. So it falls back into that problem, and what all that's about. Anyways, I don't know. Heard a little bit about government and stuff like that, and I'm as guilty of it as a lot of people. We're out here working, and we cast our ballot and vote for individuals to run our government, whether it's our local, town, county, city, state, or all the way up into the federal government. We get out on election day and we do that, but we're kind of complacent after that. I mean, we just kind of let them do what they want and pass laws, and we kind of end up with what they give us, and for the most part, it's kind of goes back to what I said earlier there. They actually go into office for two reasons. And of course that goes back to money and power, and to make things as good or better for themselves and their families, and to better themselves. So I'm sure if they had the ability to, the ones that actually have term limits would try to vote the term limits away. I mean, these governors that like our governor now is going out because of term limits. I'm sure if he had any way to get the legislature to make it so that he didn't have to go out, he would definitely be one of the first ones in line to say he didn't want term limits. But anyways, that's all neither here nor there. But it just goes back to the point that they rely on the middle class people, the working people, to not pay enough attention to what's going on in government and not participate enough into making sure that they do what the people want, kind of like what Jolly Green was saying. It's supposed to be government by the people for the people, and it's kind of turned the other way around. It's upside down, So anyway, I don't know. We've talked about it many times before, and we all kind of know what the problem is, but it's hard to get out there and do anything. There isn't extra time, and a lot of the people that are in the trucking industry, they aren't even home to even try to do that. So unless they can do it over the phone or emails or something, I mean, but what kind of response do you get with that? You really don't get the response out of people until you actually go face to face with them, like you found when you came to Washington that time. And even what did that do? Were they just taking you and giving you an appointment to appease you at that point, and as soon as you walked out the door they went back to what they were doing, or did they actually listen to what you said and we're going to take that to heart? So I don't know. It's not. You just don't know what you can do to try to change government at this point, without actually getting rid of all of it and starting all over again. But I don't know. I was trying to go somewhere with this. I guess I kind of lost my trail of what I was trying to get at. But I think everybody kind of understands, and we're all kind of on the same page about that. But anyways, yeah. So if you're in Maryland driving around, make sure that if you stop on the side road, you make it look like you have a good reason there. Put the four ways on, tip the hood over. Tell them you got fuel filter problems. It seemed like you had a fuel issue. Now that you sat here, it settled down. Looks like it's going to start up and run all right, but we don't know for how long. But we'll try to move on. But yeah, make it look like a mechanical issue. Don't just be sitting there with your head on your steering wheel or
Yep.
head on your pillow. And
You'll pay the price. All right. Yeah. So, Merry Christmas. Well, how much was left on your credit card? Here, we're going to take some of that from you. Ho, ho, ho. All right. Back to the Rambler. Hey, good morning, Rambler.
Well, good morning, Steve. And not much left on my credit card. And after all four of my boys got finished with me.
Mm-hmm.
But praise God, glad to be talking to you tonight. You brought up the thing with China. Steve, I want to just tell you, your show is very informative, not just to truck drivers, but a lot of people, whether you know it or not, they depend on you for their news. I know Cat Mom out there in West Virginia, she depends on you for all of her news. And I know Buckwheat does, and Brother Allen does. So many people that they depend on you. And you bring up the thing about China. Steve, that's very prophetic, what you're saying, because I know it's the truth. And I was listening to every word you were saying, and the Lord started stirring my spirit, and I want to take you to the book of Zechariah, and I want to read to you what the great prophet, the vision that he had. And this is, what I'm about to read to you, this is what he was seeing. He didn't know what a satellite was. He didn't know what exactly he was seeing, so he wrote it down, and the way he wrote it down is what he saw, and the best way in his time period he could describe it to us. And you go to the book of Zechariah, and you turn to chapter 5, and verses 1 through 4, it says this, Steve. It says here, it says, "Then I turned and lifted up my eyes, and looked, and behold, a flying scroll. And he said unto me," the angel did, he said, "What seest thou?" And I answered, "I see a flying roll. The length, therefore, is 20 cubits, which is 30 feet, and the breadth of it 10 cubits, which is 15 feet. Then saith unto me, This is the curse that goes forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it. And every one that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts. And it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and shall remain in the midst of the house, and shall consume it. Now that tells me all I need to know right there, what you're talking about, artificial intelligence. I've listened to Coast enough. If they're talking about it, they've already done it. Do I believe in AI? Absolutely. The devil's already got it. They're already using it, Steve, and China's proof of it. You know, I believe, and I'm not no conspiracy theorist, I'm just a man who's called by God to preach this gospel message. And I've been telling folks about Jesus Christ since I was as early as I could go back 5 years old. You know, fully ordained in 2011. And when we started up the Turban Ministries Church, like I said, you can find us on Facebook. And I pray to God MediaCom is going to come out this week and fix my internet problems so we can have a clear signal without having buffering issues. You know, you could hear us. And when we started up the Turban Ministries Church, Steve, the Lord spoke to my heart. He said, tell my people that my coming is going to be expedient, means fast. The Lord wants me to get this message out, not only about love, how you're supposed to love people, but in order to know love, you got to know Jesus Christ. You know, I go to the book of Zechariah and I say that. I go right to Matthew 24. And Steve, I want to quote this if you don't mind, if you got time. Do you have time?
Go ahead, lay it on us.
It says here, Matthew 24, it says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Jesus said unto them, take heed that no man shall deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. It's like the 100,000 troops gathered on the Ukrainian border. It's like David Koresh and Jim Jones proclaiming to be Christ. You see? See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation. Black Lives Matter. The white supremacists, nation against nation. Kingdom against kingdom. The great elephant and the great donkey. And there shall be famines, COVID-19, and pestilences, disease, and earthquakes in diverse, strange places like Haiti and Washington, D.C., here not too long ago. And all these are the beginning. Jesus says this is just the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, like what happened during the Arab Spring when the Coptic Christians were brought up by the Muslim Brotherhood to be slaughtered. Just like that man that was put in a cage in Jordan, a trail of gunpowder. He was a Christian, doused with gasoline, and watched as a trail of fire set him on fire. It was broadcast all over Arab television. It says here, and many shall be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another, and many false prophets, false preachers, taking your money, telling you that there's many ways to get to God, but there's only one way to get to God. The Bible tells us in John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. And that's through Jesus. It says here, and shall deceive many, and because iniquity shall abound, and the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come. And it goes into great detail, much, much more sorrows that we're going to have to face. But God's children, make no mistake, what Steve has told you is prophecy being fulfilled. Things are going to happen. He says, don't be scared. Jesus says, you rely on me. My father left this world. You know him as Dirty Diapers. He relied on Jesus every day. So Brother Rambler telling you, don't be scared. Yes, take heed. Yes, scratch your chin and say, But I'm going to tell you right now, the greatest thing you can do for yourself, and I want to encourage parents, look, Steve, I'm so proud of your son being a police officer. I'm so proud of your daughter being the great young lady she is and the grandchildren you have. We all want to do great by our children and our grandchildren. I want my children to have the best. But as a daddy, as a father, the best thing I can do for my kids is, not only to make sure they graduate, if I can put them through college, put them through college, make sure they have a good career. The best thing I can do as a dad is to make sure my children know Christ Jesus as their Lord and Savior. Because what kind of a failure would I be if I didn't tell my children that there is only one way to get to heaven? That's through Jesus Christ, the blood of Christ. What kind of grandfather would my father would have been if he hadn't told his grandchildren that there's only one way? All those waitresses, all those many miles driven, talking to strangers, Dirty Diapers did. How many people come to Christ? That's one of the greatest things you can do. Tipping them the money, that's a good thing. Helping people in charity, that's a good thing. But the most important thing you can do as a human being is to tell people that the best way for a life insurance policy is to know Christ Jesus as your Lord and Savior, because this world is coming to an end, and it's only a matter of time. I mean a matter of time. And God's wrapping this thing up. And it says me in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, Brother Steve, it tells me when the trumpet sounds and the voice of the archangel shouts, and the grave shall open first, and the dead in Christ shall rise, and them which will remain, which is us, will be caught up in the air to be with the Lord Jesus forever and ever. And that's the rapture that is going to happen. And God's going to cut time short for his elect. That's why we're doing this at Determined Ministries Church. That's why as a preacher and as a man, I don't mind telling a single person, whether you're a drug addict, whether you're a prostitute, whether you're an atheist, whether you're a pornography addict, I don't care what you are. This old boy that's behind this steering wheel sitting at exit 37 in Tuskegee, Alabama, loves you. I love you enough to tell you that there's a way to avoid this, and that is the blood of Jesus Christ. And I want you to come on and be with us. Hopefully no internet trouble at Determined Ministries Church. We want you to be with us on Sundays. And Steve, I thank you for taking my call. You know, I love you to death, man. I've loved you for years. You know, I loved your dad, and I love all the callers, everybody. I love you. And if no one ever tells you, ever, you don't hear those words ever again, you're going to hear it from this old boy. You're going to hear the words, I love you, because I mean it, Steve. I love you, my man. God bless you. I'll catch you on the flip side, Tim.
All right. There's our Christmas and New Year's message. All bundled up right there. Since he brought it up, the whole AI thing, I did a little search there because I remember distinctively, years ago when Stephen Hawking at the time was speaking out about that was kind of the early days of artificial intelligence. His ability to communicate was using some of the earliest stages of artificial intelligence. Yeah, when he was still alive. This was back in 2014, 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago. At the time, he said, these efforts to create thinking machines pose a threat to our very existence. And that's what they've been working on this. And what he had was the early stages. He said, quote, the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. His warning in response to a question about a revamp of the technology that he was using at the time to communicate, as I said, which was a basic form of artificial intelligence. Machine learning experts from the British company that were involved in the creation of the technology he was using. Their technology, already employed as a smartphone keyboard app, learned how the professor thought and suggested the words he might want to use next. Hawking says the primitive form of artificial intelligence developed so far have proven very useful. But I fear the consequences of creating something that can match or surpass humans. It would take off on its own, redesign itself at an ever-increasing rate, he said. Humans, who are limited by slow biological evolution, could not compete and will be superseded. Kind of like the rise of the robots, right? And that's what they've developed. They've got these computers and artificial intelligence that is actually teaching itself. And it brought to my mind, remember back in the 80s, what was that movie with Matthew Broderick? And the professor in that particular fictional film that had created this massive computer that was kind of tied into the national defense system. War games, that was it, war games. Remember and this is back in the early days of computers, but let's play a game of global thermonuclear war. Remember that? And the computer was learning. And it was kind of crazy how realistic that was, that there was no winning the game. Every possible option. It was going through thousands and thousands of sequences, one after another. There's no way to win the game. Science fiction come to real life. All right. We've hit the midnight hour on the West Coast, though. We'll get back to your calls right after our news update, the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
Airports are blaming staffing shortages for thousands of flight cancellations. Another 2,200 flights were canceled due to surging cases of the Omicron variant. More than 2,000 have been delayed. This traveler telling Fox News he's planning ahead.
We got to the airport early for that reason. In case it does get canceled, hopefully we can catch another flight out from a different airline or whatever.
Tragedy strikes in Denver, Colorado.
4 shooting locations across the Denver, Colorado metro area last night left 5 souls dead, including the shooter and a police officer injured, according to Denver Police Chief Paul Pazin. The investigation is ongoing and a motive is not known at this time. From the West Coast to USA Radio News Bureau, I'm Lance Pry.
Jury deliberations resuming on Tuesday in the sex trafficking trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. You're listening to USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Wayne Alaroot. It's official. Inflation is at its highest level since the 1980s, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. What most people don't know is that it's actually much worse. Inflation may be higher now than the 1980s since the new measurements exclude food and energy. Gas prices up 58%, energy up 33%. What can you do about it? Protect yourself and your family. Only gold, silver, and other hard assets give you true protection. My friends at Tangible Investments guarantee the absolute lowest prices on precious metals. Check them out at TII1.com or call 800-300-8441. Tangible Investments has 40 years of experience and billions, that's with a B, billions in transactions. Call 800-300-8441 if you want help with gold, silver, platinum. They guarantee you the best prices plus excellent service. Call Tangible Investments now, 800-300-8441 or visit TII1.com. They also provide free verbal appraisals.
A new Gallup poll out shows President Biden has a 43% approval rating among those surveyed, with 51% of Americans disapproving of his performance. Kentucky Republican Senator James Comer tells Fox and Friends First he believes the low numbers are because the president does not have a single win in office.
Canceling the construction of the southern border wall, which has led to, huge amounts of illegals, huge amounts of drugs flowing across our border, huge amounts of COVID flowing across our border. He cut off the Keystone Pipeline. Gas prices have doubled. Inflation is on the rise. There's a labor shortage.
Colorado Democratic Congressman Jason Crow is using the recent tragic murders of 4 people in his state to say this is why we need to have a serious conversation about gun violence. Crow's comments coming within 24 hours of the tragedy. USA Radio News.
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, and I want to tell you that arthritis is not a genetic thing. It's not a disease of aging. Neither is osteoporosis. Get a hold of my book. It's all in your head. It goes into the 25 different diseases you get when you have osteoporosis of the skull. These are all reversible. You take the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, the MSM, vitamin D3, stay away from all the bad foods, including gluten, and guess what? You'll regrow all your bones, including your skull and your legs and your hips and everything else. Contact us at usaradiohealth.com. That's usaradiohealth.com.
A terrifying new viral video shows a man being hit by lightning.
Closed-circuit television footage in Jakarta, Indonesia, has captured a security guard who luckily survived a direct hit by lightning, according to local media. In the video, shared by an Indonesian media company and reported on social media, the man can be seen walking in the rain under an umbrella some 15 seconds after he enters the frame. A blast and sparks can be seen in the very place he walked, and the footage then shows him lying on the wet ground. He fails to get up, and people run toward him. The man survived, having suffered burns to his hands, according to Detik News. It is believed the guard's walkie-talkie, which he had in his hands, attracted the lightning. From the USA Radio News, West Texas Bureau, I'm Brad Bernards.
An Idaho sheriff accused of assaulting a group of kids at gunpoint in November heads to court on Wednesday amid calls for him to step down. Bingham County Sheriff Craig Rowland is facing charges after he allegedly stopped a vehicle with 7 girls ages 12 to 16 and their group leader, pulling her out by her hair and pointing a gun to her head. The girls had been making thank you notes to tape to doors in the neighborhood, but the sheriff claims he thought someone was trying to break into his house. Please remember to follow us on Facebook at USA Radio. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel particulate filter regeneration.
the DPF catches particulates left over from combustion. The DPF regeneration cycle cleans the filter with temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. A computer sensor triggers the DPF regen, which is often accompanied by a loss of power and fuel economy. The frequency of DPF regens are in correlation to the cleanliness of the fuel burn. Under heavy operation with the dirty burn, DPF regens can occur multiple times per day. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme Fuel Additive promotes a more complete combustion, creating fewer emissions and therefore fewer DPF regens. Vehicles using Diesel Extreme experience 83% less DPF regens.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Hi, welcome into a Wednesday. Hey, Mike. Hump day. Final week of the year. Wow, here it is. On to the industry headlines. Police investigating after a UPS truck driver was allegedly kidnapped at gunpoint as part of a cargo theft. Yeah, right about this time yesterday morning. Actually started about 3:30 a.m. Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway in Atlanta, according to WSB. Authorities say an armed suspect approached a UPS truck as it was stopped at a traffic light. Suspect reportedly entered the cab and forced the driver to continue driving to an apartment complex. When the truck arrived at the location, the suspect and others tied up the driver and loaded packages from the trailer into another vehicle. After the truck was reported late to an appointment, it was tracked by the company to the location, the apartment complex. Police found the truck driver uninjured, tied up in the trailer. Investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers in Atlanta. How bizarre is that? I mean, 3:30 in the morning, sitting at a stoplight. Then a truck driver also in the state of Georgia, oddly enough, a truck driver surviving a crash off the interstate into a body of water in the Augusta area Monday evening. Semi-truck traveling east on I-20 crashed through the guardrail off the bridge overpass into the Augusta Canal. According to the Augusta Fire Department, the truck driver made it out of the vehicle, was taken to the hospital for treatment of unknown injuries, but photographs show the tractor trailer upside down, completely submerged in the canal there, which shut down all lanes of eastbound I-20 for hours. Finally reopened sometime about 4 a.m. Tuesday morning. So, industry headlines. Meanwhile, back to the phones we go. Morning to the Eskimo mom. Hi there.
Hi, Steve. I'm over here in Indiana, and I've seen some fog, but it's drizzling over here. So hopefully I can stay out of the dense fog. But what I really wanted to call about was Chevy guy was asking about the value of a life. You get when he was talking about the involuntary manslaughter, that's criminal. That's one thing. Then you got the civil penalties. And then you go into, if you've ever been involved in a serious crash where somebody loses their life, there is those penalties that you have for those scars that you have for the rest of your life, and those scars will put you into your own prison of your own making. And one of our biggest problems with and this also goes into the shooting over there in Colorado. That goes into another problem. There's a lot of folks out here that they have no respect for life. They do not value life. They all they care is about themselves, and that is where we have where we need to get back into our faith, where we need to start where we need to start teaching our children that every life matters.
Very good, very good, Eskimo Mom. Yes. And there is no way to put a value on a life. Every life is invaluable.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And get back with Rambler. We are all children of God. We are all brothers and sisters, and we need to watch out for each other. We need to care for each other, especially with this COVID right now. And there's so many of us, we're being torn apart by it, and there's a lot of folks out here. We need to be kind. We need to be loving. We need to give that person that kind word, because you don't know what they're going through. And that kind word, that nice tip, that gesture, that can take somebody's day, and it can change it, totally turn it around.
Well, I appreciate you chiming in this morning, Eskimo Mom. Words of wisdom. Thank you.
No problem. And with all those birds and all those puppies, that I have a sneaking suspicion there is a lot of rescue organizations in southeastern Michigan that are going to be getting a lot of birds. And with those puppies down there in Claremont County, I was reading a news story on Fox 19 that some of the rescue organizations are, or maybe even it might have been in one of the Facebook groups I'm a part of for animal rescue, is that there's a particular breeder or somebody like that that is about ready to release a whole bunch of dogs. And unfortunately, there's a lot of rescue organizations that's going to be overwhelmed with them too. So so everybody, and so if we can help these organizations out, and also too, as Drew Carey and Bob Barker always says, if you're not going to improve the breeding, if you're not going to breed your pet to improve the breed, get your pet spayed or neutered.
That was
and that's
always
all my
the message.
For today.
Oh, there you go. Because we won't have Knuckle Buster back till next week, right? And the new year. Good to hear from you, Eskimo Mom. Let me get back to Philip. Yeah. Morning, Philip. What's happening in Florida this morning?
Happy hump day, bud.
So it's off to work we go, huh?
You there, bud? Oh, yeah. Hi-ho. It's off to work I go. I hear it every day at work.
Yep.
You're talking about AI. I think you brought up a story about Tesla, how they had people playing games in a car.
Yes.
You remember that one,
yes.
Steve?
Yep, on the display. Yeah, in the dash display.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to let everybody know that if you want to go down and buy your Tesla, do your research before you buy the car, because inside that Tesla is a bunch of cameras and a bunch of sensors. And they supply that information to the AI that does all that, where it shuts certain things down. The Teslas, they have cameras inside that you can look outside the car, and those cameras tell what you're doing, where you're doing it, how you're doing it inside the car. So talk about AI and all that. That's the epitome of AI. Think about if a truck went autonomous, and they could watch the driver at any given second when the driver's there in real time. And that's something like they could see how you were doing, what you were doing. It's basically what we're doing now. Think about all the stuff that we've got going on now inside a truck that's going down the road with cameras. I mean, how many cameras do you think they got in the truck now, Steve, looking at somebody?
Right.